Happy Sunday, everybody. What's going on with you?
Hey, happy Sunday. Welcome to Four Corners Legacy Podcast. How y'all doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
What's up? How y'all doing? Diesel Locomotive in the house.
What's going on, everybody? Tucson.
And
It's Miss My Mind.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff we're gonna discuss this week, huh? It's been kind of rocking in the world today. We got a little bit to talk about.
It has been a lot going on, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yes, it has.
So okay, so I didn't really dig into no information on this, but something that I did see, that I don't know, I just thought it was worth mentioning is Magic Johnson's dad passed away. And so I guess he was a big Michigan State. He loved Michigan State, whatever. And so in order to honor him, he was saying to people, instead of sending flowers and this, that, and the other, to send donations, because they started like a scholarship fund in his dad's name or whatever to honor his passing and to kind of carry that on through his love for Michigan State. Mm-hmm.
I thought that's pretty good.
Yeah. I thought just with that being Magic Johnson, I thought that was worth talking about.
His dad must have been pretty old.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, shit, Magic's old. Shit.
That was
he ain't no youngster.
Oh,
That's
gee.
What's he about? 65?
Shit, I don't know. He like I said, he ain't. We can find out. I mean, it's a quick Google search. But yeah. Anyway, that's just something I wanted to throw out there. That wasn't really a current affair that we're gonna discuss, but I thought I'd speak on it one time.
Well, rest in peace to his dad, and prayers to the family.
Mm-hmm.
I got one viewer. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's what I need to be doing also.
Because you got one viewer. Okay. Did you do the other part?
I think so. I left my room my phone in the room. So.
So how was everybody's week?
Terrible.
Oh yeah, it had its set of challenges, but
I did likewise.
And yeah.
My
How
back
about
is
you?
broke.
It was a busy week. It was a busy work week for me. And it was a lot going on. As y'all know, I'm about to turn 51 on Monday. So, shout out to me.
Happy early solar return.
That's right.
You're 1 year closer to perfection.
Right. Yeah. It's so true.
Good way of putting it, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
So let's talk about it. What's on the line?
Well, there's a lot of things that are going on right now. Where we want to jump in at the current affairs. Who's going to go first?
Not me. We talked before this. I ain't got nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm gonna jump right into it then. We're gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff that's been going on with these teachers and these youngsters. The teachers and the youngsters.
That's a good topic.
If I can get this shit to come on.
You talking about the little girl that beat up her teacher?
Nope.
Oh.
The lady who had a baby with the student.
I don't know about that one. I remember you mentioning that, but I don't particularly know about that one. But we are going to talk about teachers and students, though. Just give me a second to get this information up. So,
Yeah, once we get started, I only got one question. I just got one question.
Okay. Okay, so it's a couple of different ladies here. And we're gonna make sure we get a look at both of them. So 31-year-old Connecticut married lunch lady arrested for having sex with a 14-year-old boy and sending him nudes. Interesting. 34-year-old teacher of the year.
Wow.
Jacqueline Ma arrested for alleged sexual abuse of a former student. So this is what's going on this week, Um, and I think that this is a very important topic to discuss because we know that child sexual abuse takes place, but more times than not, when it's discussed, it's circulating around young women and the effects that it has on them after they've been a victim of that abuse. And I think something that doesn't get enough attention is that it also happens to young men, and that it also impacts their viewpoint of sexual relations going forward. So that's really why I wanted to talk about this and see if I can get your thoughts on this.
Well, one of the differences is when it happens to young boys, it's two separate things. It's almost as if the boy enjoyed it is one of the common concepts that comes up is that he was in hog heaven. Then number two is the perpetrator never really goes to prison.
So there's definitely a different set of standards that go on when it's the other way around. But we are seeing more and more of it being brought to light that it is a two-way street. Let's be clear that it's wrong, whether it's done to a young woman or or a little girl or a little boy. It's wrong. So I think that the crime should hold the same accountability for either one. It shouldn't be biased. And yeah, of course, it has long-standing effects on them. You're right, Dees, when you say it's like, oh yeah, he's coming into his manhood, and it's still not right.
And here's the number one reason why it's not right, because hurt people hurt people. And so when you don't give attention to what's going on with these young boys, and then when they resurface 8, 10, 15 years later as someone that is now abusing people, that young boy is now viewed as a monster when he was never even viewed as a victim of a person of concern when he was on the receiving end. So we have to understand that because we know hurt people, this type of shit happening to somebody who's in the 6th damn grade, it has a very high likelihood of it circulating back into his life later on, with him being the person that's maybe victimizing a young lady. So if we really care about the young women, that means we have to also care about the young boys, because we see how it's going to come back around. There's a very high likelihood that these teachers were victimized at some point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it's always missing the predator, weirdo, creeper, pedophile. None of those comments are associated with female teachers or female sexual abusers.
Yeah, and they need to be in order for it to get the same sort of airplay. We got to look at it the same way. And like I said, it was a big deal because this was an elementary school teacher. We're not talking about some high school kid who,
what was wrong with her?
Yeah, crazy.
I think, like you said, hurt people, and it does have a way of just circling back around one way or another. Especially you're looking at this like award-winning elementary school teacher. Award-winning, that means she's been in the industry for a while. That means she's been exposed to a lot of children. She's supposed to be high on a statue of elevating her career, and yet she makes these kinds of choices that she knows is wrong from the gate on so many levels, but still was willing to run the risk. It's not okay.
But if you look at these at this article clip or whatever, these are the real charges she has for right now. So these are the charges that definitely send you to prison, but it's all about it playing out, because all it really takes is a couple of females. That's why females are notoriously hard to convict, because females get on these juries and they always seem to have some sort of emotional, connection with the perpetrator.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I did like is that they came and got her ass on campus, because that takes that secrecy out of the play. Let's go ahead and make this as public as it needs to be. So they came and arrested her on the campus.
Well, and that's another thing I think that it needed to be done, so that because it's so relevant when it's the other way around, they don't hide it then. And I think they're so busy picking at the male coaches who are doing this to kids, or any that the women were easily able to fly under the radar with the same crimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they don't get convicted at the end. They get probation.
Well, I think because what it says to me is that you see just an overall lack of concern for young men. They're not really viewed as a victim, and so it's not highlighted in the same way. And that lack of concern carries on throughout that youngster's life in other avenues. You know what I mean? Like he's not viewed as a how can I say, a precious commodity in the same way that a young woman is, where I think that viewpoint should be across the board with children in general. You know what I mean? Because again, not giving it due attention, high likelihood that young man is now the person that everybody's calling a pedophile or a creep, and he needs to have his head cut off and die under the jail. You know what I mean? How do we get in front of this? How do we ever get in front of that type of issue if we're not going to give due attention to victims of each gender? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not even victims of each gender. It's all victims. All victims deserve justice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because if we fail to do that, you never get in front of the problem. Yeah.
Well, it's never okay to send nude pictures to a student. Why on earth would you think that's okay? That's not okay. And that's a crime in itself, let alone compilation or any of the other things that she was charged with. It's just wrong.
Mm-hmm. And I think it just I think it's a testament to the distortion in her mind when it comes to sex or sexual things of a sexual nature, period. You know what I mean? Because we could say, well, no, we can't say that because this is elementary school. I was going to say, we could say maybe she looked at him and physically he was whatever to her, and
no,
screwed with her head. But in elementary school,
it was manipulation from the gate. That's all I could think of. It was a form of manipulation based on the fact that he was younger. She knew she could manipulate the situation. The older the student, it's a little harder to, because students today in junior high school and high school, they pretty much have access to the internet, so they know what's going on. But we like to believe that the younger student has a little less knowledge of all of that stuff and easy to manipulate.
I mean, but still on the same note, if it doesn't matter if she's 17 and 11 months and 29 days, if a man sleeps with her, he's guilty of the crime.
Right.
And so either way, high school, all that is supposed to be looked at the same way across the board.
Most definitely.
A boy's innocence is no less than a girl's innocence.
Right. And I think that's what I was getting at. You taking a young man, and people say you heal from trauma and this, that, and the other, and I believe you do. However, the impact that it had on his psyche in regards to things of a sexual nature, that's forever changed. You know what I mean? There's no removing that. Yeah. And now that sort of energy is brought into the world He brings that sort of energy into the world as he moves about through the world, unknowingly, unintentionally. You know what I mean? And it just,
Well,
it's
and I would just like to say too that I think that that part of it goes both ways. It just comes out fueled in different ways. When
absolutely.
they're quick to say, "Oh, she's fast," and stuff like that. But we don't know the history behind whatever that person has went through, or when they become um sleeping around with a whole bunch of people at an early age. We don't know where it stemmed from. It had to come
Hmm.
from somewhere. So I just think
Hmm.
in the girls, in the boys, it shows up differently, but it still
Hmm.
shows back up. So you're right about that.
Yeah, and the root cause is the same, and like you said, it shows up differently, but those people are carrying that energy with them into the world,
Mhm.
and just like I think we need to give a damn when they're young. We need to give a damn as they're growing older and they're still carrying that, trying to process it, deal with it, whatever. It's just a common consideration that should be made for people, which is to first of all understand you don't know what the hell somebody done been through. You know what I mean? And if
Well,
you
and I
believe
think we
they've
we
been through
covered it
something, you need to
before.
give a damn.
Right. We covered it before, the importance on counseling and getting help and the different forms of mental illness and where it could stem from. And it's just something that we really need to make sure that students or young people are fully aware of.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, but
Because somebody might feel like because they're their teacher, they're scared to tell the truth about them. Um, you have to communicate with the children the difference of what's right and what's wrong.
especially if it's a boy. A boy is definitely not going to be as quick to tell as a girl because there's not any platform that boys are riding on as we speak.
Hmm. Hmm.
There is no like with girls. It's automatic from whatever age. This and this tail. This and this tail. It's like first nature type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they know once they get over the initial fear that there is at least some place for them to go to talk about it, to have the conversation. You know, a young man, that initial fear, like, oh shit, should I say something? Even if he arrives at that place, like, does
Where do
he
I
know?
go?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, where do I go?
Well, and I think that there are outlets for them as well, because let's be clear that that's what's happening to young boys who were involved in the church. We've seen a lot of that was going on in different churches with, certain religions, Catholic religion. They were well known for having priests have involvement with young boys. So
Those
there
victims didn't
are
get justice though.
no, they didn't get. So that's what I'm saying. But it's been clear that it has been going on for a long time on both sides of the spectrum. And the
Hmm.
only way to do it is to continue to bring attention to it, continue to talk about it like we're doing on this forum, so that people have an avenue to know, hey, this isn't okay. We have to be clear with our kids and discuss what is right, what is wrong, what is immoral, and that they have someone to talk to.
And when we have these discussions, are we speaking freely to them? Are we afraid of saying shit exactly how it is? You know, you can't. What's crazy is how many female teachers have been convicted in sexual misconduct on their students. Yeah, it's something that's been going on. Some of
Yeah,
us,
it's just
some of
now.
us know people that have been in those situations. You know what I mean? And uh, there's no airplay on it. You know.
Right. Well, and like I said, I don't. This is a separate incident, which makes it so crazy because you pulled up three different incidents, right? And then there was another one where a lady actually was pregnant by her student. You know what I mean? So
They got
just
one right
crazy.
now. They got one right now where she's pregnant by the student. And
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
the funny part is he's gonna have to pay child support at some point.
That's not funny.
Because it
Oh
happened to the
man!
other one.
Shout out to the chat. We see y'all. We appreciate you tapping in as well. He said he gonna have to pay child support.
It already happened.
He's a child. He's a child.
Right. I'm not
How
even
is he
lying though. That's how it really go.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and the funny part is that he's the victim. So not only did she abuse him, and the child being unwanted on his part. Because I mean, what are we gonna say? He was supposed to take all these precautions to not have a baby.
Well, he was young. He was young and he was being manipulated. And there was this scenario several years back where the lady had went to prison for having a relationship and then did get out and marry the student.
Right? I think this is the one I was thinking about. I didn't mention it because I don't remember no names or nothing. I just remember the dude was like he was Polynesian or Samoan or something like that. And the teacher, she went to prison and got out and
Mary Kay Letourneau or something like that.
He married that dude.
Okay, so it goes back to what you were saying about the mindset. Okay, so while she's away, doing time, he was not helped to realize that this was wrong. He was still saturated with those feelings of what she turned him on to and into. So he thought that was love. You know, obviously
there was with video games and shit like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying while she was away, obviously he wasn't getting the help. He wasn't getting the outlet to understand this was wrong in the first place because he went back to it. So he didn't get the help. It got a lot of media attention, but the help was never provided
with him after she got out of prison.
I want to say she got violated at some point and went back. And then after some time had passed and all those legal blockades were removed, they got married. You know,
they got married, but then they got divorced.
But that wasn't even the one I'm talking about. It's multiple instances of woman getting pregnant by the dude, and you know what I'm saying. And
that's why I wanted to bring this up, because just like them people we mentioned, that shit that's 20 plus years ago.
Right.
You know, we know people personally that have been through that 20, then they're 30 years ago. And it's like, it seems like it's being more, it's getting more airplay in the media, and it's an important topic. And it was worthy of discussion, because this shit is a reality. It's taking place not just with, you know, male people that are in position, but female as well. And it has always been that way. It just, certain shit was flying under the radar, you know what I mean? And like I said, those are the people that come out. Now this girl is promiscuous, or she's, you know, in the sex industry, or whatever the case may be. Now this dude is a creep, you know what I mean? Or he's an abuser, a pedophile, or whatever, but they are in reality victims of shit that was never addressed. You see what I mean? And if we ignoring that, then we're ignoring some of the realities of the world. And we, you know, obviously that's what we here to do, is bring attention to a lot of the shit that's getting ignored. So
yeah,
one of these conversations that our society just isn't ready to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point where we want to demonize the men in society, and even the boys are being demonized at this point. Like, it's like, as soon as you're old enough to where you don't look like a baby anymore as a young boy, society, you know, they'll give a 12-year-old, an 11-year-old boy, they'll try him as an adult and send him to prison. You know, like society just doesn't give a fuck about young boys, period.
Well, okay, so I mean, I don't want to jump topics, and it still has the same basis based off of the young boy who shot the school teacher. Okay, that was something that has been in the current affairs that's going on very recently, in and out of the news, where a 6-year-old shot his teacher. Were you guys familiar with that story?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, a 6-year-old student shot his teacher, and they decided that they weren't going to bring the student up on charges.
Well, how you gonna charge a 6-year-old?
Right. So should they charge the parents at that point?
What was the decision?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So who?
But that just goes to show how crazy it is that they were even thinking about doing it.
Right. No, but who do you charge? Do you charge the parents?
Well, I mean, you got to know the background on it. Where did the gun come from? Was it from his parents? Was it from a cousin's house, uncles? Because it could have came from anywhere.
It came from his parents.
Walking down the street in the bushes.
Right. Okay.
No, he
So
got
that's
it
what I'm
from his
saying. Like,
parents.
if we know for sure that it was his parents' gun, then
Mhm.
anybody who purchases a firearm, they understand the laws that are associated with storing the firearm, and they're guilty in that regard. But the lady getting shot, I mean, that's like, I don't know how you charge a parent with somebody else shooting that lady, or that guy, whatever it was. You know what I mean? They're guilty of negligence so that the kid was able to get the firearm.
Mhm.
But you getting a pill popped in you is just a byproduct of that negligence. It's all connected in. You can't
It
charge
just
me.
it's
You can't
proof that
charge me with
school,
shooting the teacher, though.
right.
You know?
School's a dangerous place now. School is a
Mhm.
dangerous place. And I think it's been a dangerous place. I just don't think people believed it to be. And now a
Mhm.
lot of things are coming to the surface.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I couldn't be a teenager right now or a kid right now. It's a whole lot
Yeah.
different. It's a whole lot different shit going on in schools that didn't go on when we was in school.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think it was all going on. I just don't think it was so publicly known. I that's what I think. I think it was
I,
a
I
lot
agree
of
with
things.
you.
Yeah, a lot of things have been going on. Kids have been sleeping with their teachers, but I think, like it was mentioned when Dees said, I think a lot of people, if the student told their homeboy, they're gonna be like, "Oh man, what?" And so listening to that, and then out of fear, not telling their parents, it never seemed like a big deal. But there's been drugs in schools, there's been sexual assaults in schools, there's been crime in schools. It's all been going on. It just wasn't brought up like it is now.
Well, yeah, because you got to think about it like this. Yeah, all those things you mentioned happen in society.
Mhm.
School is an establishment or an institute that's dab smack in the middle. Anything that's happening in society is going to happen in school because there's
Mhm.
people there. Where there's people at, the shit that people do is going to surface. Excuse me, there's no getting around that. But there's the trauma that comes along with the shit that's happening. It shows itself in different ways. And with that being said, there was another story that I wanted to bring up because I just thought this shit was crazy. It made me think of what her life must have been for her to be in this sort of situation. So, a pregnant 21-year-old woman, Chicago woman, was shot and killed while trying to rob someone. So, she's the robber, pregnant.
Mm, mm, mm.
I
You
don't
understand what I'm
believe.
saying? Like, what
I
must have
believe.
been going on in her world to where she's out trying to rob somebody with a baby in her belly?
Well, what I believe is because they said that the person threw all the money on her afterwards. So what I think happened is somebody owed her some money. She went to collect it in that manner, and then they shot and killed her and was like, here's your money.
Okay. Yeah, I wish you would have pulled that up because the only thing I had on this one is that they threw her out in the street. They threw her out of the car into the street, but there was no mention of the money being thrown out with her in
Nah,
this
there's
particular
pictures of
report.
her and the money laying out in the street.
That's what I'm saying. I wish you would have had that up here
Well, and let's be clear,
because
who
I didn't come across none of that in the stuff
since
that I
she's
researched.
deceased,
That
how
would
do
have
we
been
know? Since she's deceased, how do we know that it was a robbery?
I just said what it was. Most likely they owed her some money.
Right,
She
because
went to get
I
her
just think the
money.
killer is gonna say she was trying to rob me, and that's what I mean. Like I don't, she's not around to tell what happened.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Hmm.
That's true.
Dangerous time, and for the record, because you were saying, well, what kind of mindset would she have to be in? It's hard out here. And for her being pregnant or whatever, she might have, we don't know. She might have just been trying to put some food in her stomach. She might have been trying to get a hotel room for the night. We don't know her circumstances. So,
Hmm.
I mean, to turn into a robber at the blink of an eye. It's all circumstantial. What is your circumstance that put you in that scenario? Because any one of us could turn into a robber at any given moment if shit goes bad. I'm not saying that's what we are, but I'm saying due to the circumstances, you might change your thought process. Maybe not go rob somebody with a gun in the car the way she did, but maybe hit a lick in another way. Certain circumstances is going to have you being like, I gotta eat.
Right. Exactly. It's all circumstantial, you know, but you got to think about the shit that led up to being in them circumstances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I was getting at with the trauma that people carry from the shit they go through. It shows itself in different ways. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's not. It's not an average happening that a young pregnant woman is out trying to rob somebody. You know what I mean? That's.
Well, we don't hear about them getting shot. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I had another question. This kind of goes back to the schools. How would you feel if your child told you as a student that their teacher was cussing? Is that a bad thing?
Not as much as I cuss.
Right. Right.
Right. I would have to never say a cuss word to look at that as from some way like that.
Yeah. And let's face it, where do those kind of people exist?
They don't. But parents have the audacity to be bad if a teacher cusses, because the teacher is supposed to be held again to this higher, standard.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, all of a sudden they can't be human. But we know how bad and how treacherous these kids are. So
sit your ass the fuck down. Sit your little ass the fuck down.
And I'm sure it wasn't even that extreme. And then not only that, are we talking about kids or are we talking about teenagers? Because teenagers they're sailors. If we talking about at a middle school or high school, them kids got that teacher beat by a country mile. So
exactly. I mean, shout out to all the teachers, because I couldn't be a teacher because I don't know that I have the patience, and I definitely would slip up and say a curse word. You know what I mean? But to blatantly cuss out somebody's child, it is wrong. So like if we're in our household and we cuss at our kid, we're okay with it. But if somebody else does it, it's let's face it, that's not okay, right?
I don't know how to be tripping off of something that minimal. In my opinion, like unless you are verbally abusing my kid, but like if you like if it man, what the hell are you doing? Something like that.
Sit the fuck down.
That's a bit extreme. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can check yourself, but that's what I meant. Like if you're verbally abusing the kid, that's one thing, but it's not about the cuss word itself. It's about the way in which it's being used.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just because you can't walk through the grocery store. There's nowhere you can go in this world and not hear people cuss anymore. So
that's true.
Where you think your kid is going to have that luxury? Get over it.
I'd be more concerned if they were saying sit your crack baby ass down or sit your nappy-headed ass down.
Exactly what I was talking about.
Ass down or something of that nature. I'd be more concerned then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's hard to be a teacher. And so I know that if I was dealing with the students, whether it was elementary, junior high, or high school, all kids, they bad now. And a whole bunch of students talking at the same time, you might just go, shut up, yeah.
Right. We should just do away with schools. Since everybody seems to know how it is to be a teacher, and everybody's got this great idea of teaching and what it really is. We should just do away with schools.
Real talk. Do it yourself.
Do it yourself. Since you take this quit. Do it your damn self. And let's see how kids start turning out then.
Right. And to speak on that, if any parent or parents, if you're in a family arrangement that gives you the opportunity, if you have the space in your arrangement to do homeschooling, I'm a proponent for that, because nobody's going to teach your kid with the same level of passion and empathy as you are. So
yeah,
if it's within your means to do that and keep them the hell away from a public school.
Yeah.
It's the teacher cusses, who the kid gonna tell?
I don't think that it's unheard of for teachers to cuss. I know, like you said, people cuss, but
Mhm.
damn, nobody wants them cuss. You just think they're not supposed to, but they're human.
Right. And that's why I immediately was like, not as much as I cuss. Like, how am I supposed to act like they not doing something that I'm doing, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Peace to
It's
the panel,
crazy.
y'all. Since ain't none of my co-hosts gonna acknowledge y'all.
I didn't already did it. You was in La La Land somewhere. You was on my man, didn't even know whether he been to Mars or not.
Yeah, thanks for all the comments inside of the chat. Keep them coming, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I have one talking about the little girl in Georgia who's facing charges for beating up her teacher.
If it was a boy, they throw the book. So throw the goddamn book.
She says she doesn't give a F if you're an adult or not. You're not going to talk to me like that. You're a dumb bi. And the teen, and you can hear the teen screaming at the teacher. I'm trying to pull up the footage right now.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
I'm trying to. Oh well, can't do it.
Did they show it?
No.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to see her taking off on her. Then you know, hell. But that's one of them
Here
things.
we go. Here we go. Okay, now. Holy.
You niggas in y'all cell service.
And you better not hold no damn phone up to the screen neither.
I'm not. I'm trying to pull it up on. Yeah, it's crazy too. Man, damn, how do I do this? Because I got the information on my phone.
I tried to walk you through it earlier. You said you knew what you was doing.
I had them already saved on my computer. That's why I was talking about this was for the Chris Rock thing.
Where was that? Where did that happen at? Teacher beat up student beats up teacher?
In Georgia. High school student facing criminal charges.
A high school student.
Well,
and she gives her the business too. Oh my God.
This is why I say conflict resolution skills need to be something that's readily discussed and worked on in the family unit, because now this kid gonna have this lingering over their head simply because they lack the necessary skills to deal with somebody talking to them crazy. Because again, in this world, you're gonna deal with that. And you can't just fire on somebody every time they do that, you know? I mean, you can, but it ain't gonna be no free you t-shirt after you do it. You know, you're not a political prisoner. You did wrong, and now you got to face the wrong you did. You know, that's the long and short of that, in my opinion. If that teacher didn't violate you in a physical manner, I can't back your play for putting hands on them.
Did you find it, Deez?
I'm trying.
Wow. Well, she should keep her hands to herself. Like you said, conflict resolution is important. We got to teach our children how to handle situations, because you're going to be at a job one day and someone's going to piss you off. So
that's for sure.
You know, it happens. You got to learn how to deal with it. It's a messed up thing that, you know, she took it to that level because she felt violated, but now there's a reason for it.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
I said clearly.
Okay, moving right along, co-host. What is going on? What are we covering next?
Okay, so I'm gonna do it. I'm choosing violence this morning.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh God.
So,
oh Lord.
So look,
as crazy as that sounds.
They having a celebration of life for his birthday tomorrow, which is also Miss My 916 birthday, you know. But yeah, For those that don't know, I rocked with Kevin Samuels. I respected his get down. And of course, there's, like it would be with anybody, there's things that I couldn't get behind or agree with. But his overall message and his goal to try to get people to view a relationship in a manner that sets us up to actually rebuild the family structure, that's what he was on. And if it calls people into accountability and they happen to be female, just accept the accountability and don't get mad at the nigga with the message. That's where I sit on that though. I would like to hear y'all viewpoint.
He said that all the time in his broadcast, that you guys want to come after the messenger, man. I'm just bringing the message. He said that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What was his cause of death? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, see, that's the shit we talking about right there.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not.
His cause of death was the nigga worked 20-hour motherfucking days and worked himself to death. He was a workaholic.
Is that what the cause of death was?
So let's do it like this then. Let's do it like this. If you were to put any female up on the page and I said, oh, here we go, I would be able to articulate the basis of that emotional response. So
okay,
again,
and so the basis of my emotional response is that as a woman, I didn't agree with his standpoint on how he verbalized it to the people who would call in. He would call people out of their names. He would talk. He didn't even know the people. He didn't know the people. He would say, how much money do you make? Where you working? And he would just chop people down. So no, I don't stand behind the way he handled it. I can shoot the messenger because we all know it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So it's how he was saying it was wrong.
So have women.
Did I articulate that well enough?
Say it now. Any woman that calls into my show talking about she makes $45K, but wants a nigga that makes $250K, I'm gonna tell her she a crazy motherfucker.
No. She wasn't. They weren't calling into the show to say that he was saying this is what women want, and that's another thing. How the hell? Who made him the judge and jury of what women want? How does he know?
They called into the show.
What they called into the show to add their 10 cents to what
how many times did you watch? How many times did you actually watch his live? How many times did you watch his live, or you just watching the clips that people?
I watched clips. I would have never watched him live.
Okay, so then you would have to at least agree that your viewpoint is somewhat limited. But let's go back though to something you said. Let's go back to something you said about the way he says what he says. It was disrespectful to women. I don't want no broke ass man. I don't want no scrub. I don't want no short dick man. I don't want women been doing this to us. How dare you get in your feelings when it circles back around?
How dare you?
That's the only question I have.
You think it's funny when you do.
So was Oprah Winfrey on the show talking about how we didn't want this? Is that what her show was based on?
I'm not talking about Oprah Winfrey. I'm talking about women in general.
Can you show me a woman who you said women have been doing it for years? What women have been doing it for years?
Okay. So here's what I'm saying. If you only want to talk about public figures doing it, then the conversation is dead at that point. But if you can tell me that in your lifetime, all those things I just mentioned, you've never heard them, and you can say that. Okay, then. So it doesn't matter. That's what he meant when he said, "Don't shoot the messenger." We as men, we've had to stomach this type of shit, and we didn't like how it felt, and we still had to do what we could to be the best versions of ourselves, and struggle through that, knowing that we ain't really being looked upon in a certain light. And it's not a light that actually mirrors who we are. We've had to deal with that. So if that energy comes full circle, and now it's men doing the same thing to women, why is it suddenly wrong?
Right. So again, you just said if we're going to talk about the fact that he was a public figure, all I'm simply saying is if I can't, in my mind, I can't visualize thinking about any woman talk show podcast host that I know on the high scale that he was on who were saying the type of things to men, maybe behind closed doors, maybe in conversations amongst women, maybe in a household, maybe some homegirls hanging out. But are we just out here? And again, I just don't think that it stood for all women. I don't think
we're not getting nowhere in our community.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you this. So if something is said about Black men, but it's not said by a public figure, it has no impact on that man?
No, I didn't say that.
Then why do you keep going back to whether or not it was a public figure saying this to me?
I don't care, because he wasn't a public figure of mine, but I'm just saying, I feel like he could have used his platform differently.
Man, the View,
he could have used his platform. I'm on a platform. You're on a platform.
Oh, the View exercise their platform for the benefit of men.
Do I exercise my platform?
No, I said the View with all the women on there.
Okay.
Or the Talk. Their platform is specifically etched out for the feelings of men.
No, it's etched out for the feelings of women. It's etched out for the feelings of people. But I'm saying they're not on the View.
Okay.
Okay,
so
the View.
Let me ask this.
You bring up, they weren't sitting up there bashing men like that.
Yes, they were.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Do you think that he was sending these women an invite along with a script for them to come onto the show and say the crazy shit they were saying?
No.
Okay. Do you think the women came on and said, "Hi, Kevin, how are you doing today?" And he just, for no reason, that for no reason at all, he just was like, "You ain't this, you tripping, blah." Or do you think that he was responding to the stuff that they were saying? I mean, what's logical to conclude that he just got a podcast and was like, "First woman that called in here, I'm going ham on her"?
No, I didn't think he said the first woman to call in here, I'm going ham on her, but I think that he was going ham as he started the show. We have a platform right now. Let me give you a perfect example.
Would you let somebody take over this platform? That's the
question. I have watched The View. Somebody said, "Have we ever watched The View?"
Yeah, okay, I have watched The View. So my question,
and there's been times that it was inconsiderate stuff said, but I didn't get a hair up my ass about it. It's like, damn, that's to be expected from.
Obviously, you had a hair up your ass.
They discuss things differently. They have a different form of the way they communicate. Their language is different. It's to be expected, and that's what I'm asking. Why isn't that women can't draw that same conclusion when they hear a man talking?
Because first of all, he's trying to put the woman down. Regardless,
did you ever watch his show?
I never watched not one of the shows, but I know this. He was trying to get the attention of the woman to make it an uproar so his show would be successful. So he knew what buttons to push so that they would call in and get the shit going.
No. So let me tell you this. When he originally started, his show was centered on the growth of Black men, helping men to adjust their viewpoint on how to go about living their lives and to set themselves up to be the best version of themselves they could be, to be the best husbands, fathers, whatever. When he started gaining ground on his platform is when women decided to call in and tell him that the things you're saying to men are disturbing to us. So that's why I asked you, do you think he was giving him a script?
He checked niggas way worse. But if you don't give a fuck and you in your feelings, you'll never figure that part out.
And that's what I'm getting at. If you haven't actually watched any of his shows, then you don't know, because nobody's going out of their way to say, "Oh, let me grab this piece where he had a respectable conversation with a respectable woman." They're grabbing the piece where he's talking loud to a woman that then already came in his establishment and loud talked him and disrespected him. Why does he have to tuck his nuts so that the whole world of women aren't offended when a woman disrespects him? I really want to know the answer to that question.
Well, he doesn't have to tuck his nuts. He can do whatever he wants. But I want to ask you this. On our show right now, are there things that you are not going to do because you are trying to show an example of a different type of person. You're going to carry yourself in a certain way, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying is that if he had that same moral compass as to not switching up and go ahead and bashing, I think that if the delivery wouldn't have been so bad, and there wouldn't have been clips for us, several clips to pull from if he had not have been behaving like that.
Okay, I get that. So let me put it to you like this, because again, like I said, from the gate, there was things and that he said and did that I didn't agree with, that I was opposed to, but that I was able to look at his message. So there was something to be taken away from it. If I go in the kitchen and I cook up a steak and some potatoes and I arrange it on a plate and I make it nice and beautiful for you, and then on another plate, I take the steak and potatoes and run it through a grinder and turn it into a mush and I sit that on a plate. No matter which one of them you eat, regardless of the presentation, you're going to get the same nutritional value. So are you caught up on how it looks or what you're getting from it?
Are you going to eat a pile of shit?
Who said it was shit? It's the same food. You ain't even listening.
No, I know it's the same food, but I'm saying,
will it give you the same nutritional benefit? Will it give you the same nutritional benefit?
It's going to give you the same nutritional benefit. Okay.
Okay.
But if we're going by presentation, somebody may miss out on that because of that. What is going on?
Who is Xing us out?
This is my show. This is the moment I've been waiting for.
Look. So I'm saying this. Even though there's stuff that I didn't like about what he was doing, that doesn't trash his intent. You understand what I'm saying? But again, if y'all haven't actually seen any of his actual lives, like not taking it like to where somebody set this up for you to view it in a certain way. The presentation of the clip was for you to view it in a certain way. If that's all you've seen, I can understand why you drew the conclusion you did. Yeah.
Right. I want to give another example. Okay. Have you sat down?
Jesus Christ. You know what? Fuck it. Go ahead and go back and forth. I don't need to get in. Y'all some
go ahead. You got the floor, bro.
No, I'm good.
See, and that's what I'm saying. You mustn't have no talk worthy shit. We talking. This is what y'all want to do.
You got the floor, bro.
You want to romp with me?
True Jamaican Dandala.
Say what you were going to say, bro. It's important. We're having a conversation.
Obviously, we're only having a two-sided conversation.
Well, I mean, if you had two opportunities to talk, and that's what you wanted to say, so now we are having a two-sided conversation. What were you going to say, Mai, since he don't want to hold the floor?
It's funny. He's got it. It's funny, like the men who choose to bow down to women never come out on top. So women are always calling for men to bow down, and then you got Will Smith and Dwayne Wade, and their situations being the way their situations are. What good is it going to benefit if you give women the reins, and then this happens? Why did Kevin Samuels have to do something like that in order to gain your respect, in order to disrespect him? Anyway, in the end, women wouldn't have respected him at all anyway. When it all boiled down to it, no matter how respectful he came, he was not going to get any respect unless he would have did like Steve Harvey said, you know what? You ain't shit as a man, and women are queen over you. You ain't a damn thing as a man. That's the only way he was going to gain some traction anyway with y'all.
Okay, I see that because I will agree with you that like when men use their platform to check men in a way that they are more suitable for women, their delivery isn't called into question. You know, it doesn't matter what Steve said about men, what kind of bums they were. Suddenly, all the shit that women are irritated about doesn't matter. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the lack of concern for the male population in general. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If speech has to be tailored for women, why wouldn't it need to be tailored for men?
It all boils down to this.
Hold on. And if you're not going to stand up and fight for the speech to be tailored for men, then you should probably keep quiet about speech being tailored for women. That's the only fair play. Wouldn't you agree?
Derek Jackson cheating on his wife like a motherfucker, dogging niggas out.
Right, exactly. He was talking about black men left and right, dogging us out, and had women back in his play, and he was the very nigga doing all.
And that's why that delivery shit is bullshit. Because I can tell you what you fucking want to hear. I can say that sweet pie ass bullshit and go cheat on my motherfucking wife right after I do it.
So again, I'm not going to behave like Kevin Samuels. I'm just not going to do it. You understand what I'm saying? However, with that being said, that doesn't take away from the validity of the message he was making. Because there's clips where women call in and say, oh yeah, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. And he say, well, how much money do you think? And this is real reality, the shit they're actually saying. How much money would a man need to make in order to provide the lifestyle that you want as a stay-at-home mom? Oh, somewhere between $400,000 and $600,000. Okay. What type of occupations would provide that sort of income?
Crickets.
They don't even, these were the women that he's smashing on. They're out of touch with reality. They don't, unless you think just like that, they're not even a representative of you. So why are you angry? It would be no different than if a pimp nigga called into a woman's show and she mashed on him about the dumb shit he was saying. I wouldn't even be remotely close to almost pretending to be offended by that. So I don't understand why, unless you share these women's sentiments, it offended you.
That's why I don't watch that shit like that.
Okay, and so this is my point is this.
It was educational.
If what you're saying is true, and his ultimate goal was to bring attention to how to build the Black family and where women are going wrong. If that was his true intention to do, then I simply feel like there was another way to say it. If you're saying it that way, what is going to make me want to watch the show? What is going to make the message get to me? If I'm a lost soul and I need to hear this message that he has that's going to save Black families and all this, what's going to make me pay attention to it? And I just want to add this one thing too, because you guys always get on me about reality TV and this and that. I ain't watching this shit. It's trash. And all they do is try to glamorize this and all they do is fight. Okay, so this is what you take away from it, right? But if on reality TV, somebody's saying, oh, my mom has cirrhosis of the liver, she drinks too much, or they're talking about how to build a business or what it's taking to run their empire or to create businesses, that's generational wealth they're doing. But you ain't going to watch it, right? You're not watching it because you don't like that type of shit, right? So this is what I'm saying. So if I say I don't like Kevin Samuels, what is the difference?
Okay.
I'm not gonna watch the reality series because they got fucking arrested for Ponzi scheme after they filmed the fucking podcast.
You know what? I'm gonna say the bottom line, and I think Benet, she said the truth hurts, and I'm saying that is somebody's truth, and sometimes the truth does hurt. That's not my truth, so it doesn't hurt me, but I didn't gain anything from it, so I didn't watch it.
Okay. So
let's take a poll.
Okay. So
if somebody put his ass in a lineup, I wouldn't even be able to tell you who the fuck he was because I don't know what he even. I never.
And yet you had an opinion of him.
I didn't have an opinion.
Which once again,
I did not have an opinion. I did not have an opinion. I said I never seen not one of his motherfucking shows, not one.
Okay. And neither had and a couple of people in the comments.
Okay, hold on. I hadn't watched a show from front to back. No, I had not. But I seen parts of a couple of different shows.
Okay, that's hold on, time out. Because I could say I've seen parts of the Chris Rock show because I seen a clip that somebody posted. But did I sit down on my own terms and say, let me see what this nigga talking about? That's why I asked you, did you watch clips or did you watch his show?
Right. And I honestly admitted, no,
Okay, so then that's
so
that's
now
a
I've
different
missed
story.
some terrible, some important message though
Yes,
because I
you
didn't
did.
watch him.
Yes, you did.
Okay, well,
The reason
this is
why
the
you
thing.
missed.
I'll tell you who I do watch. I watch y'all. So why don't
Okay,
you
so
find a
look,
way
I'll tell you why
to
you missed some
verbalize
important
this
stuff, though.
important ass message he got to get
Listen,
across?
I'm gonna tell you why you missed some important stuff. Because he gets the majority of his information from blackdemographics.com, and he used to run down these statistics all the time. And I mean, when it comes, we might not want to hear what that shit got to say, but at the end of the day, Black women are the most obese. They're the most babies out of wedlock, the highest, lowest marriage rates across the board. That means white, black, purple, green, brown, all men. I mean, these are facts that, come on now. I mean, shit, there's some work that needs to be did, period. No matter how much we like Kevin Samuels.
So this is the reason why men aligned with the show. And it's regardless of his delivery was terrible, or the way he said, because I seen all that too. It irritated me sometimes the way he would allow himself to come out and bring out a certain amount of energy when he's checking this woman, because I just feel like there's another way to do that. But does that make his position wrong? And here's the thing we got to look at. So Benet says men say the same thing over and over and over without being heard. Sometimes you need to hear it differently to finally hear what men are asking for. So what that means is if I say, baby, I would like it if you do this, that, and the other, and there's zero response. And then when I say finally, God damn it, is you going to do what I asked you to do? If I did that 1 out of 10 times, that means I have a 90% success rate on talking to you the way you wish to be talked to. But you only want to talk about the one incident and ignore all the others. That's what he represented. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, because our whole lives, men have been saying shit to women that we would like to see differently. And nobody gives a damn. So when men in general finally start yelling, we don't give a shit about your feelings about how it was delivered, because you weren't
and this is my thing too.
You weren't listening when the delivery was appropriate.
And you're so right. So let me just say this. You said initially that the target audience for his show was Black men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all got it then. Y'all got the message.
Okay,
it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
You okay, so again, I'm going to ask this question again. If a woman has a platform and repeatedly pimps and lowlifes are calling in, arguing with this woman, and she's running the gamut, giving them the riot act, should I be offended?
If I smash on this pimp ass nigga, no, you shouldn't be offended.
Okay, so if he's smashing on women,
ratchet ass horse,
that's what I'm saying. Why does it even matter to you unless you share their sentiments?
It doesn't. What matters to me is that a missed audience was there. If I'm someone who could have been helped by his message, but all I seen was the times that he was shutting women down, you didn't gain the momentum needed for the whole community. Because if we agree that the Black community, the families consist of men and women, then there was a whole audience that missed it because of how he handled it.
No families. We're calling this show.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Let's do a poll real quick.
Here's the thing. And see, this is what I'm getting at.
Let's get to the point. Let's get to the
lives, and he was putting women down.
Right.
So because they have female genitalia, they're women.
Right.
They deserve the same respect as a stand-up woman, even though nothing about them represents that. That's what that statement says right there.
No, that's not what I just said.
Okay,
let's do the poll. Anybody who's in the chat right now.
No. Everybody that's in the chat right now and amongst the panel, we're going to do a poll on what putting somebody down is. Because I think it's being thrown around extremely loosely.
He was putting people down. Were they women of respect is the question. That's why I keep making the pimp analogy.
No, she said putting women down. She didn't say.
I know that. I know that. But here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. It's no question that he was putting people down. So the question is, the women that he was putting down, do you align with them mentally and emotionally? Were they women cut from the same cloth as you, or were they low life, confused women who are completely out of touch with reality and only concerned about self? Because these are the type of women he was smashing on. So unless you are putting yourself into that category of women, again, why did it offend you?
Okay, and I just want to say, for all the women who are down and out, who have a warped sense of thought, who don't know themselves, who don't love themselves, who haven't figured it all out yet, I still love them too. And I still want to tap in. I still want to make sure that I find a way to cultivate their feelings. I want to make sure that I find a way to help them grow. That's what I'm saying. So if it's really about a bigger picture, it doesn't matter if they had a low life budget way of thinking. Well, how can we transform that way of thinking? Cussing them out?
Okay.
To all the niggas out there that got cracking your ass still and out there on the block with your gun, you know what I'm saying, and you want to take a life for no motherfucking reason over a penny, I share your struggle, my nigga.
That's basically what you just said. The only difference is the gender. And that's
no. What I said is that I want to help people.
Upset about
my mission is to help people no matter what. No matter what walk of life they're in, no matter what trials they're facing, no matter what, I think that we need to send a message to everybody if we're going to solve the cultural problem that we have. Okay, I don't think we can be one-sided about it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so again, time out. Let me say something. It's not one-sided. My whole entire life, if I turn on any TV right now, I can think of a woman who is existing on some platform whose concern is only women. He wasn't, again, nobody made these women call his show and talk shit. They did. Okay, so let's assume his show is his house. And some angry woman comes, knocks on his door. And when he opens the door, she tries to dig into him. And he says, you know what, stank breath broad, get the hell up out my doorway. Is he wrong?
No.
So what's the difference? Because it's on the internet?
No.
Because it's on the internet, he's supposed to let somebody step into his place and disrespect him and not respond in kind.
On his platform. You punk ass nigga on your platform.
That's a literal question. Is he wrong for that?
No, and I answered the question. I said, no, he's not wrong for it. But my point is that overall, if healing and helping and growth is the ultimate goal, are we obtaining the ultimate goal by constantly buying in? You said yourself, he was buying into it. That it made you frustrated sometimes that he would pay that much.
But I don't hate him because of it. That's the difference. I
don't know the man to hate him.
What was the cause of his death?
You know him enough to be
if that is not a malicious statement, then I don't know what it is. Let's keep it. If we're gonna have this conversation, we got to keep it 100. So when I said that you hated him, the first statement out of your mouth was to celebrate his death.
I never once celebrated his death.
What did you call that then? The first thing you said was, what was his cause of death again? With that smirk on your face. You was coming for that nigga.
I want to say something. I want to
fuck his life.
I showed Bené's comment, and it says the show was both sexist, and it was to call men to be men and women to be women, and to be more realistic about their dating lives. He wanted men to realize they deserve better, and for the women that they deserve to act better to get the results. And I believe that too. Women and men, as Jashay said, it's always this separate. It's everything so separate. People need
That's because women want it one way.
No, it's not just. No, it's not just one way. Take it from a woman. You want to have respect, just like the man wants to have respect.
So how do we find a happy medium is the question. Is there a way to get that message across without hate and disdain?
I'll put it to you like this. It's and this is the part that nobody wants to hear. Your feelings are your responsibility.
That's true.
Okay.
That is true.
So there's a whole country of men in the United States where the average black man makes roughly $48,000 a year. So do you know what Kevin Samuel said a high value man was? A man that makes 6 figures a year. You understand what I'm saying? Or somewhere close to it. So we could have gotten our feelings and been like, man, this nigga dogging us out. He's saying we ain't got no value in this, that, and the other. Or we can say, you know what? I don't like the way that makes me feel, but I'm going to own my feelings and my responsibility. And I'm going to take the steps to get to a better version of myself rather than shooting at a man who's basically just telling us what's necessary for us to get on that path of growth. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And to get the results you want.
We could have gotten our feelings too. But we seen the truth in the statement. It doesn't matter if he's making it seem, hey, you know what, if you ain't making this kind of money, then, you know, this conversation ain't really for you. You need to get and do this. You need to do this, because he was mashing on men the same way.
And that's exactly what he'll say. He'll say, if you ain't this type of nigga, this conversation ain't for you. You might as well talk about. He'll say that shit too. It didn't have nothing to do with women. Like they're saying, oh, his show was formulated simply to put down women.
It wasn't. And anybody who says that, again, like I said, that's an emotional response. And the thing is, you're responsible for your own emotions. They're your feelings. You can't put that in nobody else's lap.
Well, let's talk about what I wanted to talk about, which was the Chris Rock comedy on Netflix.
See, look, this is the shit we talking about right here.
Exactly.
This the exact shit we talking about. Now that you men is done being men, be quiet so we can talk about what I want to talk about. This is the exact shit we talking about.
I'm finna gas Chris Rock though. As soon as we start talking about him, I'm finna gas that nigga.
I just can't believe we're talking about him again this week. That's what I can't believe, but let's do it.
I thought we covered him last week, but I ain't gonna hate though. It's all good. Maybe she didn't get an opportunity to say what she needed to say.
Well, no, I seen his Netflix special last night. And
that was an awkward transfer comment. I agree.
Yeah, I agree too, because I think we don't
gotta talk about it.
We was on to something. You know, look. I think the problem with the man versus woman thing is the woman can't change their value because a man bases value on looks, among other things, as where a man can change his value by leveling up.
True.
Okay. So what's y'all thoughts on that before we even really address that? Is that something that you agree with or disagree with?
Let me reread the statement. I think the problem with the man versus woman thing is that women can't change their value because a man bases value other
things.
It don't matter if I'm 800 pounds. If I'm rich, bitches gonna love me.
Well, they'll tolerate you. You know, they'll love things about you.
Okay, and if I go get a BBL, niggas
that's the point, though.
Okay, so I already got a pretty face, so I guess if I go get a BBL, niggas is gonna love me. Fuck it, like that doesn't, because he said itself, because a man bases value on looks. So are you basing your value on women?
Okay, looks? Stop. No, stop. That's where
you're asking a question.
Stop. Hold on. That's where
you can't stop at looks. He says looks among other things.
Right.
He didn't say 100% on looks, but it is a tremendous factor.
Okay, now, what do women base their value system on? Fuck what we talking about. What y'all talking about?
Okay, let's turn the volume down a little bit. Because we can get through this. It's a tough subject, you know, and I think that's why people avoid it. But you know, fuck all that. We talking about it, you know, and
I think we should talk about it because
in a way that we can get through this. So let's just turn the volume down a little bit.
I think it's like this. Majority of the women that I know don't want someone who doesn't work, or who doesn't have respect for women, or doesn't feel like the woman should be uplifted. And that's how it should be. And the same for a man. A man doesn't want a woman that's not working or doesn't take care of herself and doesn't respect him. You know, it should go both ways. I'm not out on the dating scene, so I wouldn't know how it is because I'm not on the dating scene. But if I was to be looking for a gentleman to start dating, you would have to be dating first, not in a relationship, jump right into a relationship with the person. You have to get to know the person. You talk on the phone, you go to the park, or you go to some activity. You don't just.
Okay. So how does that tell you about his value as an individual?
Because you're going to be talking.
Okay. And what are
Communication
you
is
learning?
key.
Okay, I get that. I think we're trying to pinpoint what attributes would make you say, yes, he's valuable to me, or no, he is not. We know what the process is to find all that out. What attributes are you going to use to weigh the decision? That's the question. You know what I mean? Because I think, like how Ferrari had said earlier about men, we base value on looks, among other things. I think looks is something that's important to us, but it is not solely based on that. A woman, and you can turn on any reality show right now and see that those women have the looks part down, but we ain't fucking with them.
You can look at T.I. and Tiny. Horrendous.
Woo! Oh no.
Oh shit.
Damn. So, but yeah, though, how are you gauging that value, whether or not that man is valuable to you? You know what I mean? And that's to either one of you guys. How would you gauge that?
The silence is why it's always going to be an issue, because you have to know these type of things, and men are more decisive, and our list is probably a million things long too, but we take that million things long and we condense it down to 5 or 10 important absolute musts, because of course you want Disneyland, and you want to live in $1 trillion mansion, and you want to drive Bugattis, and you want you want the sun, the moon, the star. Of course you want all that, but real people shouldn't have those type of expectations.
Okay, so let's give them an opportunity to respond to that. Like, what are the things that stick out to you as valuable when you're looking at a man?
First, how he comes at me. First of all, if he comes to me respectfully, or if he comes to me ignorant. If he comes to me ignorant, I don't have time for it.
Okay, so let's skip over the basic shit. Somebody who's already got through that first level of security, and now you're actually dating him because he did that. What makes him valuable or not valuable in your eyes?
The time that we share and things that we do when we're together. If he's trying to like I said, I don't know, I haven't been dating, but if he's trying to get to know me better by just doing simple things, different stuff.
Okay. So
yes, if he's work related, and he's about his business, that's something that's a turn on. That's for sure. Because who wants a lazy motherfucker? But now,
so what do you think, Mai? Do you think that you align with her statement, or you have something of your own that you want to add to that?
I definitely have something of my own to add, but I'm just going to say this. What makes a man valuable to me? I want to have a special connection on more than just a financial level. I want somebody who is going to make me laugh, someone who's going to help empower me, support my dreams. Believe it or not, all women are not out here trying to say you have to make this much money. And for me, I'm looking for a genuine connection, which is hard to find. I can meet people all day long, but if I don't have a genuine connection with them, and maybe, yes, some physical appearance, is important. I don't want no ugly dog. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm gonna go by looks as well. But I don't expect it. I thought it was funny to hear that a lot of women are looking for a man making $500,000 a year. I was like, oh, really? I don't.
I couldn't believe it either.
I can't
but
believe
if you
that.
ask them what type of professions men that make $500,000 are in, they couldn't even tell you the professions that these men
For real.
Right. Well, and again, I say this all the time. Me being the single person on the show, I feel like there's a lot of other qualities that I'm looking for in a man that maybe men don't think that that's what women are really looking for. But me, myself, and that's probably why it's so hard for me to find the specific kind, because I do want to laugh. I do want to joke with my partner. I do want to go places, but I'm talking about places from something as small as a walk in the park to, yes, taking trips. You know what I mean? And it's not, it don't have to be a trip to Dubai, but I mean, like, just trips, vacations, weekend trips. I am looking for that. And I'm not looking for somebody who has to foot the bill all the way with me. You know what I mean? We can meet in the middle. Like, you might buy dinner one day, I'm going to buy lunch the other day. I may prepare a meal that it's a whole variety of different things that I'm looking for. It's not one-sided. Yes, I'm going to look at the relationships that they have with their daughters, with their mothers, with the women that are in their life. I am going to look at the fact of how someone acts when we're out in public. Did you cuss out the person, the waiter or the waitress? Did you turn your head and look at every big booty that walked by? There's a lot of different things that I am basing what I'm looking for from. It's not one-sided. That's why I said with the Kevin Samuels thing, then I'm not going to stay on it. It just wasn't relatable to the type of person that I am. Does that mean that everything he said was wrong? No, it doesn't. What I'm saying is it just wasn't for me.
So do you guys know that on all the dating sites, on a few of them, OkCupid, Match, and different ones like that, they said that Black women in particular were more concerned, that looks was the number one concern that they had in their mate.
And they're never going to find the right one just by the looks.
I think that comes down to intention, though. If they're actually looking for a mate, or if they're on there looking to have some fun.
Right.
Because if you were to go on a dating site right now, 98% of the women are going to say, "I'm looking for a long-term relationship." Stop with the lies. That shit ain't true of all of them. So right then and there that's falsehood. There's no way that's what all of you are looking for, because if you were, looks wouldn't be the first thing you're looking at. So I think it comes down to intent. You're on that site to get some interactions with people, but that doesn't mean that that's what you're there for. And that's why on that survey you would say looks is important, because you're not actually looking for a mate. You're looking to go have some fun with somebody. You know what I mean? And I think there's fluff in the numbers because of that.
Right. I just told my homegirl the other day, I'm looking for quality and not quantity. There's a lot of different men, and I had to close my account because I can't date online. That's just something that hasn't seemed, and I know people who have actually met people and stayed with them by meeting them online. I'm just saying, for me, it didn't work out. And I'm seeing past what the looks are, because I can't get to know you on there. I'd be scared to talk to people. So it just didn't work for me. Okay. So, but yeah, everybody wants somebody who matches their fly. I don't think it's nothing wrong with a man who wants a nice looking woman, or a woman who wants a nice looking man.
Not at all. Not at all. But
I think when you become 40 and 50 years old, me as a 45, 46-year-old man, I have to understand that if I'm going on a dating site or something like that, and I pick women of my same age group, the looks, they're not going to look their absolute best in their 40s all the time. You get what I'm saying? Life has settled in a little bit by then on all of us.
Well, right. And the funny thing is, though, and people cannot never believe that I'm 51. Okay, number one. No, people are not going to believe that I was 50. People didn't believe it. I look younger than I actually am. And there are a lot, and when I say a lot, of nice looking men that are out there on these sites, okay? But again, I say for me, I can never get past that initial introduction. It doesn't stick for me because I'm just, I don't know. I can't meet people and actually learn how to open up that way. I don't know how to trust enough to do that.
Well,
okay, so there's a reason why there's a reason why I'm trying to direct this traffic, because you asked a specific question, and I'm trying to like let the show bring it to light. So you and Kasabi and the women in the comments have all basically said pretty much the same thing. You know, like how Ben Pretty said she looks for a man with drive. I think the way Benet sized that up, it kind of explains what the drive is. You know, we see Shay talking about spiritual, moral values, things of all that nature. Okay. So do you think that that man, because he's human, is going to be abrasive in his speech from time to time? Do you think that man, because he's human, might demonstrate a level of laziness, or he might have a day or two or maybe a week of depression? You understand what I'm saying? And in all of that, does that man have confidence in you that he can look to you and say, she considers me as a human first and foremost, that she's going to speak consolingly to me? Or if we have a problem, or if I'm not at the best of myself in this moment, she's going to recognize my human nature and I'm not going to be vilified for it. She's going to demonstrate her femininity in the process when I'm lacking. You understand what I'm saying? So I can get back to my masculine energy and again keep that reciprocity going. Or is she gonna say, you know what, you ain't doing this, that, and the other, and blah 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 blah? This is the type of shit that Kevin was trying to highlight. Whether he did it the right way or not, whether he served you steak and potatoes that looked like filet mignon, or he ran the whole thing through the meat grinder, it still comes back to this is the point. If our woman is not behaving in a certain manner, are we going to get emotionally driven and say, you know what, bitch, I told you? Or are we going to behave like a man is supposed to behave? These are the questions I think we got to ask ourselves, because if we see something we don't like we seen it in the show, okay? When it was something that the women didn't like, we seen how animated we got. We seen with something the men didn't like, how animated we got. Can we be faced with things that are different from us, that oppose the way we think, and still manage to figure out a way to talk about this without compromising our integrity as men and as women first and foremost? Or are we just gonna say, hey, you know what, you ain't finna talk to me like that, and I ain't gonna put up with? Where does that get us? Because we're the least married people demographically in this country. It's a problem.
So it is a problem. I agree. And I want to try to find solutions. Maybe in his passing, we can pick up the torch where he left off and bring the type of change. It's 2 women on this panel. It's 2 men on this panel. And we've dated and we've loved and we've lost. And so we do have something to provide. I just think that we have to utilize it correctly. One of the comments that I've seen on here is that stay in your femininity, ladies. It heals, it helps, and is your real value to a man. And I think that part of the femininity is that, like when you said, when you need consoling, when you're down and out, when you're having a rough week, being able to be loved on is us staying into our femininity. I can't never get that word right. But you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, you have to be able to be that pillow for them to fall onto. A man ain't always got to be, oh yeah, I'm a hero, I'm strong. You know, like sometimes he might need a downtime as well. You know what I mean? Or a pep talk. It's so important, you know. So, but it works both ways. It's a push and a pull. It's a give and a take. It's got to go both ways.
Balance is what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Okay, so a question to the panel: do anybody that's on the panel or in the comments consider themselves a work in progress?
Oh, definitely.
And until my dying day. And if I'm not a work in progress until my dying day, then I have played myself.
because I
because
noticed
there's always room for growth and progress. You know,
I noticed a lot of the main concern with women is a man knowing what he needs to do and where he, having it all figured out right up front, basically. And in a situation where sometimes a relationship might start off with the couple eating top ramen noodles, and using one car for both of them to get to work, to and from work. Or it might start out that way, and then next thing you know, they're in mansions and driving this and this and that and that. I think that women drop the ball on a lot of quality men because they worried about that finish line type of product as far as men. And a man knows what he got to do. Believe that. We the one that made the world what it is, built these cell phones and these cars and airplanes and shit and all the shit we enjoy. We the ones did all this shit. So we know what to do.
So I want to touch on something you said, Mai, because I think this is it's a part of what gets overlooked by people when they're in the dating market. You said connections, okay? Mm-hmm. I think that there are people that have met someone that they've had those sort of connections with, but they failed to honor it because she too skinny for me, or she ain't got enough titties in her shirt. And on the woman's side, whatever the case may be for y'all, but nonetheless, that people after a certain age have probably had an opportunity with somebody that they had that sort of connection with, but they didn't honor the connection because they were more focused on immaterial things. I bring that up because I was watching a clip from something, and the brother that was talking, I'm gonna try to say it the best way I can to mirror what he said, but he was talking about how women are basically more driven by emotions than logic. On the flip side, men are basically driven by more logic than emotions. And that the overall goal is on either side for that to be balanced out by the energy that comes from the feminine or the masculine. So what that means is that woman's femininity is going to bring that man to where his logic and his emotion is able to balance out because they're on the same energetic wavelength, and vice versa. That woman's logic and emotion is going to be able to balance out because they're on the same energetic wavelength. And that's why, I'm gonna quote the Bible real quick. Husbands are to love your wives as you love yourselves, and the wife in turn is supposed to have deep respect for her man. That softness, that tender care and affection, that provision, all the things that women naturally want, a man, that's only going to be brought out of a man if she has that viewpoint in his eyes. If he doesn't look at her as SOF capital T in all respects, she's never going to get that optimal provision from him in any form. And vice versa, if he's not doing all that to the tip top on his, he's not going to get that optimal respect from her. And so that energetic wavelength will always be off. And we got to stop doing so much of pointing our dusty ass fingers at each other, and we got to point them back at ourselves. Sure, some of the shit we're saying is true, but who can you really affect change in, yourself or somebody on the outside?
Well, I agree. I want to tap on what Bené is saying. She says, I have two questions for the ladies. How do you view the call for women to return to femininity? Do you think a woman return to femininity, they would have better results in dating? And my daughter tells me all the time, Mom, just be cute. Just be cute. Just be a woman. Just be a woman. Don't worry about this, that, and the other. I as much as I try to not be a hands-on person, that's just who I am. That doesn't make me less of a woman, though.
Well, I have two things.
Go ahead.
I have two things to say to that part. As people, we got to stop saying that's just how I am, because us connecting to some of the negative things of just how we are may be the very things that we have to change about ourselves.
Why is it negative to be hands-on?
Okay, go ahead. Hold on. Time out. Yeah, go ahead and finish your thought, Mai.
I just think that there would be better results in dating. I think that surrendering or being submissive has been stereotyped as a negative thing for women. So it's been something that we are very far detached from. So we should move back into that direction, because and I think that since we're going to quote scripture, I want to say it's Proverbs 31. It says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing. But it was in talks of a virtuous woman. And I think that we have moved so far away from women that are actually virtuous women. So in that aspect, I think that we would have more success in dating if we did go back to those things.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, because I think women are, it's like submissive to them is Kunta Kinte and Master. You know what I'm saying? That's how they view it. They view it like as a whipping. But as men, we submit all the time to women. You know what I'm saying? If you want a man that's gonna provide for you and all these things, those words are other words for submissive. Providing for somebody and taking care of all their needs, you definitely submitted something.
You're at least submitting to the arrangement.
At
To the
least
foundation of the arrangement. It may not be a direct submission to your woman, but you are definitely in submission to the arrangement, because if this is what you guys have agreed upon as the staple for your growth and you continue to pour into that, that is an act of submission.
And I think women have took the word submission and twisted it into whatever it's somehow it's not right.
Part of that falls on men though.
I was about to say, and what do you think about men? Because I think if we're going to be fair about it, we have to not just point out like as a woman
example first of ways that men submit. That's why I threw that out there first and foremost.
No, I know. I'm saying, like, what I meant when I said part of the reason why women look at it as a slave master is because, again, there are some men that are so tooth and nail about what a woman's supposed to do. You're supposed to fix my plate. You're supposed to wash my drawers. Okay. You're supposed to. And that is up to you and your woman. Every man's list of expectations is going to be different in every relationship. I don't agree with the supposed to's across the board, because now we're taking an arbitrary formulaic approach to relationships as if people aren't unique and individuals. What works for you and your mate is what it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? But there are too many of us that are ingrained with this. You got to do all this shit for me. And it's like, okay, that's where the slave mentality comes from.
Though, in the context of, if I'm paying all the bills, buying all the cars, buying all the houses, and giving you everything in a divorce type of situation.
No. Even in that case, because I understand that then, because if I'm doing all of that, what are you doing? Right. It's give and take. We know that. So again, if it is a situation where the man is taking care of everything and it ain't no kids in the house, because let's talk about it from our age category. Kids, you know what I mean? If a man is doing everything and it ain't no kids in the house, then yeah, he should never have to worry about whether he's got clean drawers or socks. He shouldn't, because it's like, damn, okay, I'm doing everything I can to be the source of good life for you. Wouldn't you want to give that back to me in the ways that you are fit to give them back?
But majority of the households are two-income households now, and
absolutely.
But we know women don't agree with that, though.
Huh?
Women don't agree. They don't want it that way. It just so happens that time.
No, but it doesn't matter if women want it that way or not. In your view, I'm saying, what is reality? Reality is a lot of homes are two-income homes because it's just what's required to survive right now. So to still have the standard of a woman being the only one to make dinner or to bring a man her plate, when women work too now. So I think it has to be whoever got home first. We both take turns cooking. Sometimes we order out. I just think that those are the things where there has to be a little bit of wiggle room. Everybody should do laundry. You know what I mean? Like I don't, we talk about gender roles all the time on the show. And I feel like some of the gender roles play into the part of women. I know for me, it's a big deterrent when I hear men say, yeah, she need to bring me my plate. What in the entire fuck? Like, I have a problem with that. That is scary to me. I don't.
That's where men get that from.
I don't have a problem if I'm cooking dinner and making a plate. What I have a problem for is a man expecting that's what I have to do. That's the only way it needs to be done. Like, I might be already making dinner, about to bring the plate, but as soon as somebody says, yeah, you better bring me my plate, all of a sudden I don't want to do it anymore.
Okay,
that's what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to ask you. Is it that he's expecting it, or is that he's expecting it along the lines of do what I tell you to do?
Right. It's the demand, the on demand that I have a problem with. The on demand.
And I can accept that. I can agree with that, because I'm not fit to get at nobody like that, because I'm not gonna let nobody do it to me.
Fellas,
what you provide in our household.
And do your own laundry, fellas. Cook your own meal, make your own plate, do your own laundry, fellas.
No, that's that's not like you cooking something,
and that's not how I said it. And that's
what's being said is understand that you might have to cook your own meal, fellas, from time to time.
You might
have to make your own plate. Right. You might have to do your own laundry. Right. And if that time arrives, consider your woman the way you would want her to consider you. Obviously, something happened that upset the flow of what y'all agreed upon, because it really more times than not, I'm going to agree upon me washing my own clothes. So that's never even going to be a conversation.
This comment right here is killing me.
Yes, it cracked me up.
This comment from Mr. Antoine Jarvis: if a man snatched your purse and take off running, do you expect me to be on his head getting your purse back? Then make daddy a sandwich.
I get what he's saying, though. I get what he's saying.
My next point.
Certain things that are just expected of us.
Did that too. When they come, you jump up with the gun and handle that when you hear the noise outside.
No, that's real. That's real. That's real. And so that's why I asked, was it a problem with him expecting it, or was he expecting it as a do what I tell you? Because if it's just him expecting it, it ain't nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so should she expect him to come and cook for her?
She expects him to take on the intruder when the intruder comes.
No,
it doesn't matter. The intruder hasn't came. Let's leave the intruder out of it.
So should a woman expect for a man to cook for her sometime too?
I think
do for her sometimes too.
I think that's a realistic expectation, and I know how to cook. So I mean, again, it goes back to the ladies. Know how to cook. Come in the kitchen with her sometimes and help cook. It goes back to the ladies. If you know that's an expectation of yours, why would you get with somebody that has no desire to cook? You can't be mad at the world of men because you chose a nigga who's afraid of the kitchen.
Right. Or another thing,
I know how to cook,
because they always say what they wouldn't do if they were single. They wouldn't do this if they were, and this is what's wrong. And they be in the very relationships that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So it's easy to say what you wouldn't. Sometimes we get complacent in what we have, and we need to switch that up. That may be where the change actually starts.
That's definitely where the change has to start.
So I didn't see this, and we gotta give it equilibrium. And the reason why, because y'all addressed the question that was posed to you as women. This one is posed to the fellas. I don't know how I missed it, but yeah.
I wanted to say something about it too.
I touched on it a little bit, but I will elaborate a little bit more. So when I talked about a woman being soft in all attributes, you know what I mean? Her qualities are the opposite of mine, whether it be the way she speaks. Does she speak consoling to me? Is she a source of encouragement when I need her to be that? You understand what I'm saying? Does she respect my counsel, my insight, my heart, my dreams in as a man? Does she value the things that make me me? You understand what I'm saying? And does she demonstrate that in a way that highlights her character as a woman, not as a competitive way, but in a way that highlights her character as a woman. What makes you woman is what makes you valuable to me. Because if you are first and foremost a woman, all that other shit is going to fall into place. Do you value yourself as a woman? And can I see that in the way you express yourself to me, or in the way you carry yourself throughout your life? This is the shit I'm looking for, because that is the essence of femininity to me, that where you can bring your energy as an adult to the table in a way that highlights your womanhood. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I look for.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say too much different, because you already know me and you talk about this many times. So it's pretty much the same thing. You know, I don't want somebody to compete with, you know what I'm saying? Because men, we naturally compete against each other, hence football, boxing, blah, blah, blah. To the end of the earth, men are in competition with each other, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? So I do not want to have to compete with my counterpart. You get what I'm saying? Because the world of men is competitive enough as it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of touched on where women are saying they want a man that has drive and knows what he's going to do and all that. Hey, a man doesn't hit his financial stride until he's in his mid 40s. You know what I'm saying? According to statistics. So, you know, as far as me knowing what I'm going to do in my life when I'm 21, not too many men out there do. You know what I'm saying? Or things like that. But you know, femininity is so important, because a woman being in touch with herself, just like if I was to say a man that's a true man, he got opening the door under that man resume. He got knowing how to handle the laundry and the taking the trash out and blah blah. All these things fall under the top man in capital letters.
Exactly.
And so, as a woman at the top in capital letters, there's certain things that fall underneath that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you guys are always saying that, and this is so my question. You guys say a lot that women are emotional creatures, right? Do you feel that as a man that you should tap into your emotional side as well? That it's okay to tap into that that part of you that relates to someone else's emotion, and or you don't got to be stern all the time. You know, you got to pay.
This is why we're talking about the competition. That's why that's so important.
What?
Because
Benet says, what does competition in a relationship mean?
Let me address mine first,
so that I can have an understanding.
Because men do not look at each other and have, let me get on an emotional level with you, bruh. And hold on, time out. And the reason why we don't do that is because we know that in the grand scheme of things, we are in competition with one another. You understand what I'm saying? So if you ever want a man to tap into his emotional side in regards to you, the only way to bring that out of him is to be at optimal range in your femininity, because we're complete as men without a woman, and vice versa. You're complete as a woman without a man. But there are certain attributes of your manhood or womanhood that can only be drawn out by the opposite sex. So we're never going to walk around, I'm so in touch with my emotions. There's some men that talk that shit, but I think they be trying to get pussy on the low. If I'm keeping it 100, they're trying to say the things that they think is going to draw in particular women to their fold. I don't believe it, because we're not built that way. It takes a woman of a certain stature, which is a woman who's in tune with her femininity, to pull that out of us. So if you want it, come get it, and know how to draw out the water from that well. Yeah.
Well, what is competition in a relationship? That's what Benet says. What does competition in a relationship mean or look like? You guys say that all the time. A woman's in competition with a man.
Here's the competition. I need a man that makes $250,000 a year, but
other than that.
Well,
okay.
You asked for an example.
Oh, no. Here's a better one, because this is actually a better example. It was mentioned earlier. If an intruder comes in the house, if somebody snatches the purse, okay, hold on. You got to listen before you go somewhere. What that means is the man has already accepted the role of putting his life on the line for the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? So, with that being said, then you have to understand that there's a level of hierarchy here.
Because I'm a die and you're going to be alive.
I'm the one that's going to die for this.
Give me another example.
No, you need to listen. I'm the one that's going to die for this. Then ultimately, in certain areas, certain circumstances, I'm the one who's going to make the call. And you don't need to compete with me on this. You need to show me that you trust my insight, that you trust my judgment, that you trust my intelligence for us to navigate us through these circumstances. Just keep quiet and watch me be a man. Don't compete with me.
Okay. Right. Give me another example.
It's like if you see a quarterback for your favorite football team and he throws some interceptions and gets sacked, and you sitting up here talking about how you're talking about how he sucks at a quarterback, but if you was to throw on a uniform, you wouldn't be able to play no better than that nigga.
Right.
That's what we see coming from women as men. We see them talking about how they'll get on the field and throw 800 motherfucking touchdowns if they was in that uniform.
Okay, so I'll give you. How do you respond to the examples that we've given so far? Because I see you shaking your head. What is it that you disagree about?
Because yes, I expect him to go look to see what the noise is, but I get up and go look my damn self, because I'm not going to wait. If he's not going to get up and go do it, I'm going to get up and go do it myself.
Realistically, again, if he's not going to get up and go do it, why are you with him? So we're talking about in a situation where you're actually with a fucking man first and foremost. Because any man is not going to be like, baby, go see what the noise is.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to.
We're not talking about that. We can't use suckers to the example.
But that's what I'm saying. What else is another? What is another means? Something else that women are in competition with a man other than that is what I'm trying to say.
I'll tell you this right here. So drive, motivation. This is what women mentioned in the comments, and y'all agreed with it, that this is a important attribute that a man should have. Okay, so because men, we're not worried about a woman being driven and we don't give a shit about none of that. And the reason for that is we know that naturally we are cut out to lead the situation to progress. And for women to look for those things in man, they also understand naturally that they are to be led by their leader in progress, toward progress. So when I say competition, women will say all the time, the way he does this and the way he's doing that, and my man just doesn't know how to lead. And from a man's perspective, so wait a minute, the self-proclaimed follower somehow thinks she has the recipe to leadership? That's competition. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't be a self-proclaimed follower and still think that you have the recipe and the formula for leadership. Because if you thought you had it, like we think we have it, you wouldn't be looking to be led. Stop competing.
I guess I'm taking it the wrong way, but I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm
saying in general, I'm not telling you, I'm talking about in general for, any woman who might have this mindset.
The question was on us anyway.
Yeah. That's what the competition looks like to me. You can't tell me you want me to lead you and then question how I'm doing it. Because if you thought you could lead it on your own, then why did you ask me to do it? Oh, because you didn't know how. That's right. So, I'm just saying, it's like that's the reality of it. If you knew how, you wouldn't ask me to do it.
Well, you already know we're gonna get negative.
I don't give a damn. Hey, sometimes the truth is what it is, and I didn't disrespect nobody and bash women when I said it. So that's what they said they didn't want to hear. I gave them what they wanted. We'll see.
But okay. So I got to double down just a little bit on why you use the terminology, because saying that they're self-proclaimed followers is going to automatically, because they're big on this independence thing. But when you say you're independent, that means that you don't need anything at all when you say you're independent. So is exactly what he's saying is, why would somebody who's so independent need somebody else to take away their independence? So to speak. You get what I'm saying? Because you got these women, they want to be doctors, lawyers, they get these high-paying jobs, these high-skill jobs, and then they say the only way I can be validated is if I have a man that has more accomplishments or more than me.
Right. And in which case, the suggestion is this: if you go do all of that and you put yourself in a position financially to where basically you would struggle to find a man who's going to make more money than you and be that source of material provision for you. Now, because you put yourself in that position, you have to now date like a man. And what I mean by that is men are not looking at a woman's pockets. Of course, we don't want no scallywag, but we're not going to ever look and be like, oh, she's really a nice woman, but she only makes 50 grand a year. That's a woman issue. Men will never think like that. So if you get yourself as a woman to the point where you're making $200,000+ a year, you have to now date like a man, meaning that as long as that man is moving through his life with progress and purpose, the amount of money he makes shouldn't matter to you, because you wouldn't got it on your own. You got to date like a man, because this is what we would do. We wouldn't give a damn how much she made. Okay,
so then again, as Renee says, that you still haven't said what competition means and what looks like.
She must not have been tapped in. I gave the example. If you're a self-proclaimed follower and you're trying to tell me, okay.
Listen, sis, because I heard you already explain it once. I wasn't even on the camera, so I could still
tell me what you heard, sis. What's the competition?
The competition is when
that is the same question. That wasn't new.
Right.
No, I know, but she said she asked and she doesn't still feel like she got an answer.
There's nothing in there of that.
Yeah, it is.
So what does competition mean? What does it look like? I still didn't get what the answer was.
Okay. Competition is when a woman is trying to do something that they have. When you're in a relationship, okay, the man is the head, okay? When the woman is trying to do the leadership things that a man has been taken on in the position to fill, that's competition. You are competing with a role that you asked him to fill.
Exactly. If you want your man to drive, and then while you're driving down the street, why are you in this lane? You need to speed up. Make this right turn.
Exactly.
Up.
Yeah.
You could have drove.
Right.
You need to go use your expertise to get this job so you can do this for us. And you could have.
Right.
Hey man, hold on. You said you wanted somebody to lead you. Now I'm doing the leading. You follow. If my leadership gets us to the destination we decide that we agreed upon, don't worry about what path I took us to get us there. As long as I get us there successfully and in a healthy state, don't question my judgment. Because again, what I mean by self-proclaimed follower, I broke that down. You want to be led by nature. That's what I mean by that. Anybody that wants to be led, that means you want to follow. So it's hypocritical and it's insulting to question the leadership of somebody when you have designated them as your leader. That's competition.
And it's fucked up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of confusing for those who don't understand the part, because a lot of people are saying we are two equals that get into a relationship.
Bullshit.
So if
I'm just saying, keep going. I ain't stopped you. Go.
Two people who get into a relationship, some people view it as we're equally yoked, meaning that we are equals. When it has been designed, you know, woman came from man, you know, the rib, supposedly. Okay, if we get into the biblical sense of it, so the man is supposed to be, if we go by scripture, if we go by nature, he is the head. Okay, but that doesn't make the woman the tail. Okay, so there is, but you gotta be worth following. Everybody isn't worth following, and I'm just saying that to say, for the women who have a problem understanding competition, or because you can't understand it to a certain degree, like, oh yeah, I don't have a problem cooking for man, I have, but then like you said, you're a self-proclaimed follower. You want to take over every single thing that the man is doing. The man is supposed to be the head of the household, but you have to be in a position where he's worthy to be followed. It can't be the blind leading the blind.
Okay, again though, if he's not worthy of being followed and you're in a relationship with him, then you're a perfect match for him because you accepted his non-worthy of being followed ass.
Right.
Look in the mirror.
And that's, hey, look,
and to touch on what you said about being equally yoked, I think people take that out of context.
They do.
Because the context of that scripture was talking about spiritual equality. Because physically, you're not equal. You never will be.
Ronda Rousey.
You're not the same in that regard. That's talking about a spiritual equality. And that's what I meant earlier about that connection in energetic wavelength. That's what's supposed to be equal. That's the yin, the yang. You understand what I'm saying? It's not in a physical sense, though.
You will never be physically equal, Ronda Rousey.
Right. Oh shit. Okay, so Benet say, I don't think it's done intentionally, but as women, we must understand that if you're not in your femininity, you'll naturally show attributes of competition in the relationship.
Agreed.
She's right about that.
Yeah.
She's right about that. And I think the reason why it should just be easily understood is you wouldn't respect your man if he was showing all sort of attributes that were opposite of his masculinity.
Or would you?
So he's acting like a woman, for lack of a better term. You gonna respect him?
Crying all the time.
Are you gonna respect a man who's always been around acting like a woman?
And oh God, and you know, if he's doing that all the time, would you respect him?
No.
So how are we supposed to respect a woman who's always running around acting like a man? You know what? I ain't, I'm not, you ain't finna. It's the same thing. We can only correct what we can correct, though. And the thing we're trying to say is, if we're doing the best we can, and let's face it, when we look at the mean, what do you call it?
Salary.
The salary for men in this country. Okay, and then you look at the statistics for marriage among Black women. It doesn't matter what you say out of your mouth. The statistics prove that finances are of extreme importance in our culture. That's why we're unmarried. Do you understand?
Okay, so are you saying that to say it's because Black women are making more money than
they don't make more than Black men. We make
no,
like
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that men are being deemed unworthy or valueless because of what the rest of the population has accepted as the norm. But because of things that are relative to our culture, you look at hip hop culture, you look at the TV shows that we watch, the people we idolize, there's never any normalcy. It's grandiose viewpoints of what life is supposed to be. And naturally, because this is how the human mind works, this is the shit we desire to emulate. But it's fallacy. It doesn't apply to us. And if it does apply to us, we should be working to go get it. You understand what I'm saying? And in order to go get that as a unit, you have to follow behind the man that you chose to lead you to that. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
You can't have
for the women who are making more money than men. Do men have a problem with that? Are you guys able to still lead correctly, even though your woman is making more money than you?
Well, I don't see the correlation between leadership and money unless what I just got done saying is true.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no correlation to that. What does money have to do with leadership?
And I know you ain't saying right down there, Jabal, because you talk about the fact that, I'm going to provider. So I'm saying, what if you're not the provider? What if
you didn't say provider. You said made less money. There's a difference.
Exactly. Never mind. That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't like
my point, though, that it's
why I don't
finances. This is the reason why I said it like that is because I want women in our culture to stop hiding behind this curtain. Your statements, the statistics.
It said women make more money than men.
No. What I'm saying is
women don't make more money than black men.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the statement. The statement of if a man doesn't make more money, there's no way he's a provider.
Black women don't make more money.
Okay. So it doesn't matter. We're not going to argue that. The point I'm making is this here. With you take that into account, you take into account that the average black man in this country only makes $48,000 a year. Okay. And you take into account that I think we are the least married people demographically in this country. When you look at those factors, it doesn't matter what women are saying. They are demonstrating that money is of importance, and that is the reason why they choose not to follow men that could lead them to marriage and family and all of these things, because it's not going to look elegant enough if I do it with him. And if I'm wrong,
no, that's 100%.
And if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, which I could be, please contest me from a statistical basis. Give me the stats to tell me that what I just said is off base.
It's not.
I'm just, again, like I said, a man who's making 50 grand a year, I'm not going to say, he doesn't make enough money for me. But that's just me. So I don't make up all the statistics.
I mean, but why would
exactly.
you? Okay, but why would you?
Statistically, I don't believe that
is more than the median salary.
Pull up the numbers. Y'all pull up everything else.
If $50,000 is more than the $48,000 that the average man is making, then why would that be an issue in the first place?
Here's the reason why we know black women ain't making more money than black men. It's because if we start talking about the wage gap, black women gonna have a voice in that conversation. If they were really breaded more than us, they would never speak on that. We know that's not the case. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in their feelings about it. It's not even an arguable point.
Black men.
Yeah, we know that's not the case.
Clearly they don't. I ain't making all kind of money, but I make good enough money. Let's put it that way.
Well, this is a discussion that does need to be discussed more, because it's healing for you, me, and Valley. I know I still need education on it, because I feel like I am a woman that takes care of her household. I cook, I clean, I do whatever it takes to keep my household going. But on the same note, I am a person that puts the first foot forward if I see that something needs to be fixed, and I do say something on it and expect it to be done too. Some people don't.
Yeah, but if I'm OCD, right? If I'm OCD,
that's the problem. I'm OCD about some things. Okay.
If I'm OCD, how can I expect somebody else to fit into my OCD scheme?
You can't.
Okay. She's the tail that follows wherever the body man leads her. I think the challenge with a lot of women is that they had to protect themselves and provide for themselves for so long that the concept of being a follower is challenging and foreign. I agree with him. I agree with him on that. And the reality is some, and I say some, of the responsibility for them having to provide for ourselves falls on men. Some of it is a result of systematic shit that was put in place to bring us to that very point. But that is the reality, though. When somebody has had to fend for themselves, it's not going to come naturally to them to go back to being someone that leans upon the man that they chose. You understand what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, and how could you learn how to be a team if it's just like if Russell Wilson went to the Denver Broncos and he sucked this season, but he led Seattle to Super Bowls and championships. You get what I'm saying?
They have to be teams.
Exactly. The team has to receive him the way he was received over there in Seattle in order for Denver to move forward with him. You feel what I'm saying?
So let's look at it like this, just to give some context to the head and tail thing. There's a few ways you can look at it. So whether it's cats, squirrels, lemurs, scorpions, their tails are an intricate part of their survival. The scorpion, death blow with the tail. When a cat falls or jumps from somewhere, squirrel, lemurs, it's their tail that keeps them in position so that they can land properly. So if you have the right outlook of a tail versus the head, it should be easy to embrace the position of the tail. A tail isn't something that's just being dragged through the dirt. It is a part of the whole, and it serves its purpose. And that's why I gave those examples that I gave to prove that. Like, it's not just some meaningless extremity that's being dragged through the dirt. It has a purpose. And that purpose is related to the survival of the overall body. Without it, the survival, because imagine that cat jumping off a fence and ain't got no tail. That cat jumping out a 20-foot tree and ain't got no tail. You think he's going to be all right when he hit the dirt? There's a purpose for the tail. It's not a bad thing. But that goes back to, say it, because you disagree. So say it. I can see it on your face. I want to hear it.
I'm not nobody's tail.
That's fine. That's fine. But I would like to know why, though.
They want to be the leaders, and that's all it is to it.
Hold on, but we got to let her answer, because if we're going to gain any understanding, we have to know your reasoning for
what my emotions are. I don't need to be a leader. I want to be led, but I don't want to be called the tail.
Oh God.
Okay. So again, that's an example of the competition we were talking about earlier. That's the example of the competitive nature we were talking about earlier. Because we expect men to be like, you're not going to lead me and you're not going to call me. But for a woman to say, lead me, but do it how I say and categorize it how I say,
I guess so.
That's competitive.
So. Which is fine. This is the thing, though. I'm okay in my skin, whatever it is that I'm in. I'm willing to grow. I'm working on me, but Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm not going to change my views overnight. Great open discussions on it can maybe when I'm alone at night, I'll ponder on it and begin to work on the things or reconsider some, because I'm not all thick in the skull and etched in my way and, I'll never change how I think. I'm not saying that. But as of today, right now, no, I don't. And maybe it is not the tail of your ass. Yeah. For me,
that's basically what I was getting at. That's what I was getting at. It's the way you view it.
But for me, I still can. Tail of the ass. That's what I think of.
Okay.
Behind every powerful man, a strong man, there's a good woman or whatever, right? You believe in that, right?
Yeah. I do.
That's the same as the tail analogy. It's just said in a different way, but women sign on to that with no problem.
Okay,
right.
So
this is the thing. The tail
for more than just yourself, though. So again, it doesn't do us any good to have these conversations if we can't gain understanding in the process. So I'm trying to understand why you don't like the analogy of the tail. Because I don't have no understanding to grow on it.
I can't break it down to you in a way that you will understand, because you already mastered the understanding of boom, there is power in the tail position, not the tail of your ass. #wrong tail. Okay, you've already gained. But for me, I'm still stuck on that. That makes the tail's not important. A motherfucker can chop their tail off and still survive, right?
If
you chop the head off, if you chop someone's head off, they ain't gonna survive. So that's all I'm saying.
That's why I gave the analogy I gave because in all of those creatures, on time out, and all of those creatures that I mentioned, if their tails were cut off, it would limit their ability to survive. I literally said that.
Well, I understand that,
but humans are not cats, scorpions, and all the other shit that you talked about.
Exactly.
Hey, look.
Okay, so
let me finish.
Let me finish. Okay, hold on. Let her go. She was quiet for a minute, so let her go.
Let me finish. We're not those creatures, those animals. We are human beings, and a woman being behind a man. Okay, yeah, okay. But when it all boils down to it, we should be like this together, not like this.
On an energetic level, I agree with you, but on a level that relates to nature, it's never going to be like that.
We are animals.
Spiritually, yes, animals, it should be like this. Spiritually, yes. Connectivity wise, yes. In reality, it's going to be like this, though. In the physical reality, this is how it's going to look.
Right.
There's no getting around that.
When you look at Michelle Obama and Barack, their relationship, I couldn't think of that nigga's name for shit.
Damn shame what they did to that dog.
Sometimes I want to just slap her on the back. Get it?
Damn shame. Anyway, they come at everything like this together, you know. But she respects her husband as being the man, and he respects her as being the woman. Okay, but he doesn't expect her to be behind him and be the tail of something.
No, that's not true, because she
was there when they was eating top ramen noodles.
She talks about for a time being that she had to put some of her desires on the back burner so that he could proceed on and make the accomplishments. So they were still a team, and she didn't dummy down. She just played her position, which was in the background of what he was trying to accomplish for the whole entire team.
That's why I went to what you said about spirituality and connectivity earlier, right? Because that's the only thing that helped her to do that, because she knew on that level they were matched.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's important, and I highly doubt that she felt some kind of way about the shit.
Now, most of these women now, they wouldn't take Michelle Obama's position because they would rather be in Barack's position.
I don't think that's they might talk that shit. They might talk that shit, but they don't mean it.
As much as I am a woman that does things myself, I'm not against being pampered and sitting back, taking care of the house, and the man. And then when he comes to the door, I have his slippers waiting for him and all this other kind of stuff. If that's what he's able to do for me, okay. But if he's not able to do that for me, then I'm not gonna do that.
They the handyman.
So look at it like this. Because if we're talking about, you know, the way things are aligned, hold on. We can't do it in the middle of a point that's not relative. Okay. Because it becomes a distraction. But I read that and I am gonna put it up. But just give me a second though. If we're talking about things that are aligned from a natural standpoint, and we hear the women on the panel saying that it's difficult for them to accept being behind or being the tail. So that is the equivalent of me saying, I don't understand why I got to be the head. Why do I got to lead? How would you look at your man if he was taking that position? Would it be favorable or unfavorable?
If he took the lead,
if he said he didn't want to lead, I don't want to be the head.
I don't want to be.
I got to be the head. I got to be the first thing peeking over the fence when bullets is flying. I mean, I just don't like. What if we took that standpoint on the position of the head? Would it be attractive to you if your man had that viewpoint?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
She said
Okay.
no.
Then why is it so difficult to understand how it's not attractive to a man for a woman to take that viewpoint of her role in nature?
I just think that because
animals,
women,
that's why they don't understand that we're animals and have instincts. They think everything can be controlled and programmed.
Yeah, some of the shit is instinctual. Yeah.
They don't get that. It's instincts involved in this shit, homie.
I just think that black men have been removed from the household for so long for whatever reasons, whether it been drugs, whether it been prison or a plot of the man. Regardless of whatever it was, there's been a period of time where women were forced to be in. Thank you so much. To lead the way. And because they had to do that, it's hard to go back into the position of allowing a man to do. It's not to say that it's not important. I just think that for so long, women have had to do it because of whatever reasons, that it's something we have to start implementing back into place. And sometimes I think it is just simple verbiage can make something unappealing to me. Not necessarily the fact behind it, where I then am closed off. I'm not even listening to the fact. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it does take time. I didn't like the comment when I seen, oh, that's exactly what women are to tell. And I was just like, yeah, but I'm trying to condition myself to listen to the analogy of it. I don't like to deal with anything and just be closed-minded. No. I want to be open to it. I want to be open. That's a part of growth.
Okay. So now we can get back to this comment. I think Dee's had put this up because there was something you wanted to say about that. So I don't want to get too far off before we circle back to this comment.
He says, you take the king, the chess match is over. The man is far more important piece to take out of the equation, which is why the man has always been targeted by the CIA, FBI, and police. She's seen his value early on and play a role, which is evidence of what can happen when you choose the best man you have access to and move in the background.
Okay. I think that says a lot. That, you know, because you talked about for whatever reasons, men are not in the home. And when we talk about outside of infidelity, the drug using, drug dealing, the prison, all that shit started with the COINTELPRO, the efforts that were made by the United States government to remove black men from the house. So outside of infidelity, it was all done by design.
Absolutely.
So with knowing that, okay.
But infidelity is probably the number one reason, though.
Okay. So, but to my point though, if knowing that it was done by design in order to break up the unit, and we know that there's an opportunity to restructure that unit within our communities so that future generations can have what we didn't. It's just now we're figurative parents. My shit ain't priority. Fuck how I feel, because I got to do what's necessary for my figurative children in the community.
Right.
And it's the same thing here. You know, it may not feel good to us, but if this is what yields the result, then I mean, shit, it wasn't cool when you realize, damn, I got a kid now and I can't do this. I really gotta do this shit.
Right.
But you did it. And it's no different here. It's the same principle. It's just on a community level. This is what's good for the community, is for us to say, you know what? I don't like a lot of shit that these women is talking about, but for those that are actually aligned with my energy, I'm gonna present myself in the best way I can. I don't like a lot of these shit that these men is talking about, but for those that are aligned with my energy, I'm gonna present myself in the best way I can, because that's the only way we can save the children of the future that Whitney Houston was talking about. It ain't about how I feel. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Because when I'm dead and gone, when me and my feelings are dead and gone, my kids are still gonna have to break down some of the other barriers that they probably shouldn't have had to break down had I would have been on my shit correctly.
Exactly. I'm trying to see something here.
I don't care how a motherfucker feel personally.
I think there's a whole lot of things we have to build in the community and build in the household for blacks and for us to, or African American, whatever y'all want to call it, in order for us to succeed as a people. I do think that these are the tough conversations that need to be had. I think that there has to be some changed behavior. I think that change doesn't always happen overnight. I think that it has to be instilled by reasoning or whatever, is going to bring it about. But it's not something that's just going to change right away. We have to make it make sense. If it's an arguable fact, then let's find out. Let's debate back and forth. Let's give the pros and the cons to it. Let's make it make sense. That's all I'm saying.
I want to touch on something that Kevin Hill says. He says, I have a question. Who eats first, kids or the man?
The man.
I was just about to put this in because I felt like it can lighten up the subject.
I feel like this. If everybody's coming to the dinner table, then we're all going to be eating together. That's the problem with a lot of families. People aren't eating at the dinner table.
What you see in our home? Ask yourselves what you seen in our home, because I'll tell you what was cracking in our home.
Well, it depends on whether or not we were sitting at the table, because there was a lot of times we did eat dinner at the table. And if we're all eating at the table, how the fuck is anybody eating first?
Right, exactly.
And and that's why I say it just depends. Like, as a man, as a family head, are you gonna make your children and your woman feel a certain way if you don't sit down at the table with him? And we're talking about in the process of, because obviously he's not talking about no grown ass kids or even like self-sufficient kids. These are little children, otherwise they can make their own fucking plate. Are you making your child feel cared for if you're worried about your own hunger before you're worried about theirs?
Well,
you see what I mean? That's the way I look at that. Like, we all gonna sit down together, and I don't need my plate first because I have the ability to fight hunger pains. That child probably ain't got to that point yet.
And as Dina says, well, what about at a gathering? At a gathering, you make your child's plate first, then you make your husband's plate.
Why?
Or he could get up and make it himself. You make your child's plate though.
So you got this little kid running over here doing backflips in the grass.
Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the way I look at it, and this is what I meant when I said it depends on the approach, and there shouldn't be supposed to be. It depends on what you and your mate agree upon. Okay, right. So is it the kids eating
me not even want a bitch to ever do shit?
Look. Is the kids eating first? Well, the question is, how many kids is it? If it's 4 kids, then yeah, feed them first, because kids have a tendency to get restless. And now, do I need to have my hands occupied when you finally do feed them, or should they already be settled eating their food when I get my food? More importantly, if I see you making plates for 4 children and yourself, why the fuck would I make you make mine? That's just the way I look at it.
But the flip side of that is, if you're making 4 plates, you might as well.
You've already taken.
Some might say that.
I know, but I just believe that many hands make the load light.
Okay, you guys have changed my view on it. Yeah. I don't ever want a plate to come from a woman's hand ever again.
I don't know why. I mean,
I don't know how.
I always make the plate.
If it's that big of a deal, I don't want that shit.
It's not that big of a deal. We're posing questions to bring about change in the community. We're not posing questions on a personal level.
I do not.
We're not posing it on a personal level, and that's why I said I don't know how he arrived at that conclusion. This is
I'm just saying, no, I see that society sees that as a huge deal. So I'm saying I've been on the wrong side of that. Don't make my plate since it's that big.
No. Nobody's saying that. This is what we was talking about earlier. We have to both be accountable. It doesn't feel right, so let me spew out. We can't do that. We have, just like we don't want that from them, we can't give it back to them.
Don't make my plate. I'll make my own.
I'm gonna tell you a scenario.
Okay, no, I agree with you though. In most instances, I made my own fucking plate because I know, like how Benet says it's done as a sign of respect at a gathering.
Right.
There's tremendous amount of women that make their man plate and they still don't respect him. You can demonstrate your respect.
That's why I said don't make
you
my
can
plate.
demonstrate your respect for me in a far more important aspect than making my plate.
That's exactly
I was the type that like it was never a requirement for me. Because
you're gonna hate me for it, don't make my plate.
Here's the thing. Women be like, oh, I'm gonna make your plate. You gotta like train your woman on how to make your plate now, because every man doesn't eat like a fucking lumberjack. So that's problem number one. Like, damn, why you bring me what I'm supposed to do with all this shit? Am I a wild beast in the field? So now you gotta like, oh, I don't want this. And it's easier to just make my fucking plate. Over time, after you observe my likes, dislikes, portions, all this, that, and the other, you might be more comfortable to make me a plate at a gathering. But I'm the type, I don't need you to do none of that for me. That is not how you respect my manhood. That plate don't mean a fucking thing to me. It's nice, thank you, but it is not what the stick that I'm going to use to gauge your value in our relationship. It's just a gesture, and I appreciate it, but that's the extent of it.
Yeah, because they don't want to make your plate, and since they don't, they don't want to make that motherfucker. So since they don't want to make it, you might as well make it yourself. You don't want to cause no rifts in the because women will hold that against you. I made this nigga plates for 20 years. You know, and that shit will come back up. Boy.
Just like a man will say, I brought home the food for 20 years. That's why you had to make my. We could sterilize it.
I mean, technically, it's his fucking food.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Don't be ignorant with the discussion. We're just simply putting it out there to weigh a valuable question for people to think about. I thought that it was good when she made the point as a reflection of the relationship and the leadership part of it. I could see that. But again, with me, it goes into the expectations that are in the relationship. And I think those are things that should be outlined prior to going to events, prior to pursuing the relationship, in years of dating, in all of that. I think it forms over time. Not everybody is the same. And as far as people sitting down, people aren't sitting down at the dinner table all together anymore. And that's another thing that we should get. If we're going to get back to the basics, let's get all the way back to the basics. I think some of those, I think some of the ideas of women making a plate stemmed from homes where the man was the main provider at that point, or after a long day's work, or making sure he got the big piece of chicken, or whatever the reasoning behind it was. It was back in the day. So how do we bring those same traditions or values into the household now? That's what we got to figure out.
And just being observant in gathering settings. And this is why I said I'm not somebody that's going to be staunch about that, because just making observations. You know, motherfucker fidgeting around in his seat doing all this. You all right, bro? What's good? Yeah, I'm good. I'm just waiting on my plate. And you see how his woman reacts to that. To me, that sort of, I'm never going to do that. That's the perfect example of how not to behave for me, because it ain't that damn serious. Nigga, you acting like you ain't ate since last week. You going to be all right if you wait a few more minutes and you know she's going to get the plate. It's not like she's sitting up gallivanting around with the girls and ignoring you. Shit take time. Like for me, I don't know. That shit was never that important to me. Even though it did happen, it still happens. That's not how you prove it to me. It's nothing more than a considerate gesture. But if I know sometimes women, it's close to who they are as a woman. This is how this is how I show you, how I offer my femininity to you. In that case, I'm a step back, because I'm not going to rob you of doing what you feel makes you a woman. If this is part of your womanhood, I'll sit my ass down and wait for my plate, because it's not a big deal to me either way.
Yeah.
Then how come that wasn't what was said in the beginning?
What wasn't said?
That some women, that's how they get in.
That is that some women, that's how they get down. They make they make the plate.
And but some women got a problem with it though.
I haven't ran across these women that want their man to fucking, do everything for him, yet not do shit for him. I don't usually run across those times.
Okay, so look, Look, it makes the conversation go a whole lot smoother if we can how can
Man,
I
we
say
saved
this?
that for afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
We're over fucking 2 hours
I'm
already.
just saying, like, you know.
Trying to put me on the spot on the podcast.
And I think that Benet had
full of shit.
a good point. She said, I make plates regardless. And I think Big Sis, you know, we've ate at her house. We know when she throws a function, she be trying to make everybody's damn plate. Yeah, you know,
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so that's that. You know, she makes everybody. If you don't get me off of this screen like that, I'm gonna choke somebody.
I'm not the one doing none of that. I don't know who keeps fiddling with this shit.
But I think some women are that's just what they do, and it's okay. I just don't want it to be held against the women who don't. I'm glad to hear a man say, I don't measure my woman's love for me based off of her bringing the plate. I think a lot of men want to be old school when it comes to certain things. When it comes to making your plate, you want to be old school. Yeah, she need to bring me my plate. But when it comes to them bills, you want to be divided. Oh, she need to pay half of that. So you can't have it. You got to find a medium on all of that. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you on that, but I'm glad you brought that up. In this day and age, bills get split because more, and here's the reason why. It ain't even about the wages and the salary. It's about more times than not, we're dealing with people who have children already on both sides of the coin. So I mean, it's kind of insulting to expect a man to step up and take complete responsibility for something that you put into place before you even knew him. Of course, you have a responsibility to these children because they're yours. You knew them. You had them before you knew me. So it should be divided. More times than not, people are coming in with children already on both sides of the line because people have kids at such a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also agree, you could tell a lot about a person's relationship based off of how they treat you publicly. I think that that's true too. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like it goes way beyond the plate. You know, if a man is sitting around and he's saying to another person, oh, my bitch this and my bitch that, I think that says a lot about the relationship right there as well.
Right.
So I think it has to be all around the board. We can't want half of it and not the other half. There's a whole lot that comes with it.
And it ain't, and like you said, it ain't no overnight fix.
Not at all.
We know that already, but I mean, it just is what it is. It ain't no overnight fix. So it's work to be done on both sides of the line. You know, as men, I challenge us all to know that we are men, regardless of what women in society thinks. You understand what I'm saying? As women, I think the same challenge is on y'all. But be a woman in a way that doesn't challenge your man's manhood. I don't want to challenge your womanhood. Don't challenge my manhood. That's how you get that, you know, that level playing field. I can be who I am without challenging you or questioning everything you do, you know, because that's how we feel. And I'm saying that because that's how men in general feel. Like, damn, everything I do is getting questioned. I can't lead, right? I'm not worthy of leading. I don't make enough money. I ain't got goddamn. You know, we don't want to be done like that. Same thing with y'all, man. Men want us to look a certain way. Gotta have this. These are unrealistic challenges we putting on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's challenge each other to align spiritually.
Let's challenge each other to align spiritually. That's a big part. I think the rest gonna fall in place if you do that.
Yeah. Okay. She said she make plates regardless. I said I didn't need no.
Right. No, but that's why I brought up when I read that comment. I brought up Tucson. I was like,
yeah, because
over there, she's
gonna make everybody, and you know, if it's her gathering, y'all just sit down and your plate's gonna get brought to you.
I'm gonna make my own plate. I got it. No, I don't mean it. Or sometimes I'll sit there and be like, oh yes, give me this, give me that. You know, and it's okay because she's at her house doing the thing that she likes to do.
Well, thank you.
And one of the things too that I think it has to change too if we're having a conversation and the conversation says, well, if that didn't apply to you, then don't get mad about it. Why are you so objected to it? That goes across the board as well.
It does.
Where's our other person? Because of a plate? You know what I mean? Like I don't understand.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, and I agree. If it don't apply to you, then it shouldn't invoke any emotion in you.
Right. Yeah. I didn't jump off and say I'm done talking about it because I hate Kevin Samuels and it. No, I'm willing to talk through it. I'm willing to bring down my opinion a little bit and at least hear it out. If the shoe don't fit,
it's because you motherfuckers was trying to take the plate off my motherfucking, trying to make it to where I can't get a goddamn plate. But
nobody said that. That's just how you felt about it. That's
why the other person is gone. It's because you motherfuckers was trying to make me. You motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get through with you.
How this nigga just pop back up like a magic trick?
I was getting ready to talk the maximum amount of it. I have the maximum amount of stuff like that.
Don't have me making my own goddamn plate around this motherfucker.
Nah, and again, it's specific to everybody's household. Let's find a way to make what works for your household. There's not a set outline rule when it comes to stuff like that. That stuff is things that can be worked out easily.
That's the problem right there. Is people is expecting things. They have a list of how someone's supposed to be, and this, that, and the other. When it should just be what vibes for you, vibes for you. What vibes for that person, vibes for that person. Quit worrying about what the fuck everybody else is doing. Okay, and that's just how I look at it.
If a woman want to make plates for her man, don't say that she is a slave for that man. That's unfair.
We're not saying that.
And I'm gonna call something out right quick because I noticed when we was having the Kevin Samuels conversation that there was a little bit more interaction from the females in the comments. And after we got past what presented an opportunity to be boisterous, some of the ladies went silent. I would like to see everybody be involved in every aspect of the conversation, not just when it's time to bust a gun, because let's talk about it all, That's one of the things that we got to stop. Okay, you got a voice, you want to use it in every conversation, not just the one where you can bust your gun.
All right, it ain't a game unless all the players are on the field.
Exactly.
So let's get in the field and do the dirty work, because it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be a whole bunch of agreements. Sometimes there's going to be disagreements, and again, that is an exact opportunity for us to show growth, respect, and all of that. Let's learn something.
Right.
Let's embark some change.
Right.
Now, one thing I gotta, Benet, she said, it's just like GPS. You may want to go down the street and the GPS tells you that there are 3 different ways to go. As long as we get there, my way doesn't matter. And that's big facts. I tell that to a lot of the people who I train at work. There's a lot of ways to do something right. So I try to get all the team on one accord when we're training, so that when new people come in, if I show them how to do it this way and you show them how to do it this way, yes, we all got to come and go, but let's try to find the best way. Let's work smarter, not harder. But yes, there's a whole bunch of ways to get it done. And then you find which way works more comfortably with you. But when we're training, let's try to find the best way to do it. What's the most effective way to get to the designed outcome?
Well, I always people would tell me, well, when I was being taught something, like when I was laying chow one time, that's not how you put the on the back of the towel. I'm like, why? Who says it's got to be that way? Why not lay it down, all down, and then place your towels like that? And it was like, oh yeah, I guess it could be gone that way. Everybody has a different, long as it gets done and it's done right. And to me, my way was faster.
Right, but faster doesn't necessarily always mean better, is all I'm saying too. Let's find the most effective way with the best outcome.
It doesn't always mean better, but if it's a faster way and it still turns out perfect, or it turns out like how it's supposed to, then why not do it? Well, why can't I do it my way?
Yeah, I don't know. There's some things in the comment. I want to address it, but I think we can tackle this one first because I think it kind of wraps into the other comment. A huge challenge today is that most women aren't taught how to be wives, but men are taught that they are to be providers and protectors, which is something they should all work towards for sure. But women aren't held to the same expectations. I think that there's some truth to that. I think there's some truth to that. And when we look at this comment here, I think you can see that a little bit. Everyone is going to eat. My kids are getting their plates first. I don't even want to be with a man who cares about stuff like that. I'm not here to stroke your ego. I'm here to be your woman. We are a team. Okay. And the reason why I say that that relates to the other comment about being wives is because your kids are a temporary fixing. They're going to grow up, leave your house, and you will be a secondary priority to them. Your man has committed to you for life. Your husband has committed to you for life. And he is doing his best to be the source of good life for you and your kids. How insulting is it to say my kids come first? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I know it's not meant to come off that way. I'm just telling you how a man processes information. When
right, but the rest of the comment
that's what we're gonna see.
Right, but the rest of the comment says, I don't even want a man who cares about stuff like that. And I think that that goes back to our general statement of finding what kinds of relationships work for you. Finding
I'm
the
not here to
relationships
stroke
that
your
work
ego,
for
she
you.
went on. She went on to go, I'm not here to stroke your ego, but to be your woman. So Kasabi said earlier, I want a man, every woman wants a man that's going to lift her up. How do you think he does that? In some ways, he strokes her ego. But it's impossible for a man to expect that from his woman.
Right.
These are things that we have to discuss. This has to get unpacked because I'm telling you, from a man's perspective,
but are we
when we hear that, it's like,
by
damn.
bringing plates? It's that's the thing. Like something.
No. It's not about the plate. It's about the attitude toward doing it. Like there was a movie with Jennifer Aniston and the big tall white boy, and he was like, "Oh, you want me to wash the dishes?" She said, "I want you to want to wash the dishes." It's about desire and motivation. And that statement says, I have no desire to put you first when a man hears it. It may sound different to a woman, but unless women are going to marry women, they might want to be concerned with how it sounds to a man. It sounds like we don't matter to you. That's how that looks to us.
Right.
But we're supposed to put you first, though.
Yep. Fuck my kids. Fuck everything I got going on, my mama and everybody. But put you first.
Well, this is all I have to say is people emphasize too much on the roles of people, and if you are in a relationship with somebody, they should already know what they're supposed to do for each other, and that's it, and that's all.
What he just said in that statement. It's just like when
my bad.
You don't see men saying, you know what, I refuse to provide for my family.
No, but we have men who are actually doing. They're not saying I refuse to provide, but there's some families where men don't work,
provide, or don't do it to the woman's expectations, because those
just
are
don't work.
Okay. Okay, that's a realistic thing. There's women who carry themselves like less than women. And if I got that kind of woman, I have no right to complain, because not only did I choose her, I chose to stay with her. Water seeks its own level. So if a woman is with a man who refuses to work, but she also refuses to leave him, she invalidates her complaint.
Right.
You know, like, because everybody got choices.
That should be common here.
And I like it too. The comment that says feeding is not just food. Come on now. Absolutely. That's real right there. Feed my soul, feed my mind.
Right, but that could be taken in more than one context.
Well, I'm going to say this. Unfortunately, I've been in a relationship for too long, and where the person that I'm with doesn't appreciate the woman that I am. But it's been hard to get out of that relationship because it's hard to do things by yourself. And I guess I'm set in the comfortability of my comfortableness. I don't want to have to be out here trying to struggle worse than I already am. Okay. That's why. But every day I'm looking and trying to build my inner so that I can eventually or my finances so that I can eventually be by myself, to eventually find someone who appreciates and loves me the way I should be loved.
Right. And I respect you being open and honest about that. I just think that sometimes if you're working on it in an environment that's toxic, the things that you are working on for yourself may not stick because it's constant. There's something else interfering with that. That you're training yourself. You're training yourself into a mindset.
Ain't nobody gonna help you leave them.
well, I mean, it's like trying to shave down the rust off of a piece of metal that you're going to keep in an environment that's conducive to building rust. You're spinning your wheels, but that's just food for thought.
And you hope he's not watching the video. I seriously doubt if he is.
even more reason for concern, because I think that
you got zero watchers. You got
supporting somebody's goals, or that's a form of empowerment, for someone to watch and applaud any behavior that advances you.
Right.
So
they're supposed to be that your mate is supposed to be there to critique you on things that they feel that you could be better at, or that will help you, or hey babe, this, that, or whatever. Just it's all about teamwork. And hey, but as you said earlier, sis, Rome wasn't built in a day, and you can't change things overnight. And that I see is shit over a week or month. It's not that easy.
Hey, can we put up Bené's comment right here? Because I do feel like that's important. She said, God has someone better. Lean on God and he'll take care of the rest. God requires you to step out in order to bring in. Great vulnerability, sis. I appreciate you being vulnerable, but I do think sometimes we do got to step out in order, without the fear of failure. We got to take a leap of faith for the results that we want to see.
Believe that.
I agree.
I believe in that without the God part.
Okay, well, and that's fine too, because I think the most important part was step out in order to bring in. Sometimes you got to take a leap.
You didn't watch me do it, so you should already know that I believe in that, because you watched me do it.
And sometimes, to go from believing in something and knowing it, you got to provide your own evidence,
Right.
Like he talk about, you watch me do it. We've seen that it can be done, but by somebody else. But when it comes to us, we believe it, but we don't have no actual evidence to prove it to ourselves. But in life, sometimes you and your actions you got to provide yourself with your own evidence through your own actions. Otherwise, it'll be nothing more than a believing. You understand what I'm saying?
I wonder sometimes, are people so scared of being by themselves because then they have to just deal with themselves?
Absolutely.
Who said that?
You know what I mean? Like, part of me being by myself is me also working on me dealing with me looking at the ugly sides of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. I want to be the things that I expect from my partner, but I also know that it could be it could happen with the right person together. We could be working on things individually, but I'm not afraid of being alone. I'm not. The world looks at single people, and I just feel this way, like they're less than if they're not in a relationship. But I'm more than, because I'm willing to do this by myself until I can get it right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would be different if a person was single and had never been anything more than that. Then yeah, that might be a cause for like, okay, man, like what's
Oh, you
I
a
can
weird
see the
motherfucker.
sympathy.
You ain't
I
never
can see the sympathy then. But if you somebody who's single basically by choice, that's a different story. So I don't know who put the comment up there, but I'm gonna put it up there again only because I think that's the topic for next week's discussion. I got a whole lot to say about that, and there ain't no sense even trying to open that can up when we done already been on here for damn near 3
We're gonna
hours.
be arguing. We're gonna
So
be
we'll
arguing
see you next week, Ben Pretty, because I can't even get on it. It's too much to say.
That is a whole nother topic right there.
Mm-hmm.
Already been
I will
down
say that
road.
I think that takes a lot of honesty. We have to deal with honesty if we're going to cover that. I think people have to be willing to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better to be honest and say, well, shit, I want 10 wives, than to be like, oh, I really want I'm a woman or one man's woman. No, don't play. Don't play. Just be honest. If you want 10 wives, say you want 10 wives. And if a woman doesn't want you to have 10 wives, then don't be with that man.
But
Yeah.
in turn, though, if somebody says that they want 10 wives, why is the automatic assumption that I'm gonna need 10 niggas?
I understand what you're saying. They kind of look like they didn't get that. Did y'all understand what he was asking?
What did he say?
I'm saying just because a nigga says he wants 10 wives, why would the automatic pushback be I'm gonna need me 10 niggas then?
I would never say that.
No, that's not the automatic pushback. I don't know where that's coming from, because
I think you're gonna see where it's coming from when we get this conversation going next week.
That's gonna be the main thing.
Because I've had this discussion in other arenas before, and that be coming out. Yeah,
a poly relationship means that that you're dating multiple people, right?
No, it doesn't. Because poly is simply
polyamorous.
Right. But there's no way any man with any measure of self-respect would be in a polyamorous situation.
Okay.
Think about that.
Well, I'm with Benet because women are jealous, and I'll hurt somebody because I'm not going. That's not just how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was gonna say. It's because
but at the same time, why be? I don't know.
Okay, so let's not go to the extreme of 10 wives. What if it's
I
2?
wouldn't even want 2 husbands because they get on my nerves. Men already get on my nerves sometimes already.
Well,
anyway.
if you had 2 husbands, you'd only have half a man. So, and I'm gonna just throw that out there. If you got 2 husbands, you only got half a man collectively.
And I'm gonna throw out there, I think we all need the base truths. What are the truths in the relationship?
Yeah. You got 2 husbands.
I just think that men are built a little bit different, and that a man could love more than one woman without ostracizing one of the said other women.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I know there's a few people in the comments right now that got something to say. I can tell by all the laughing emojis. There's more behind it. So I think we talked about this a little bit as a group, that we all feel like we settled in to the point where we can invite some people on. I think next week's show would be an opportunity to do that. So anybody that think they want to sit in on the panel, jump in the comments, and say, let me in, something, let us know right now. And we can know who to send the invites to when we set it up for next week. Mm-hmm.
And so, as on that note, so our show for next week is that subject.
We gonna touch that. I don't know if it's gonna carry us through the whole show.
I think it'll carry us through the whole subject because we've talked on this for 2 hours.
I was hoping to jump into the bridging the generational gap, and that would be when we would bring people in. But I'm open and receptive to Look, she want to invite. Oh, she wants to invite us to her podcast.
And what's the name of that?
Okay, what time on Friday?
Dang.
Yeah, because I know you got a couple days going on, and I don't think I've caught that Friday one, or maybe it was the one. I don't know, but she got a couple going on throughout the week.
What's the name of the podcast?
Don't get me to lying. We're gonna let her tell us because we're linked on Facebook, so I just see it when it comes through. The Real Love Podcast, 8 p.m. Okay, that's right. There it is. There.
Okay,
So,
I'll definitely catch it.
Yeah, I'll be able to make it at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
See you there.
Yeah, we'll pull up for sure. Mm-hmm.
It's a little late. It's a little later for me out here, but I'm definitely gonna try to make it because it's a Friday night. So I don't.
Yeah,
that's the good thing. That's where Black people need to. What they need to do is support one another. You know,
right.
She asked us to come and join her on her podcast, and we should oblige her and be there in her podcast because she's been at our podcast.
Absolutely,
I will definitely be there.
Yeah.
Definitely,
she's a staple in the comments. You know, we know Dr. Love gonna pull up.
The Real Love Podcast,
no doubt.
Well, I just want to hear what other women and men are talking about that join her on her show. So
yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
But and on that note, y'all, the mechanic, the builder that I am, I have a painting job that I have to finish before I have to go to work. So
okay. All right. Well, yeah, I think we can call it. It was a good run. Hell, we had 3 hours of conversation today, so obviously it was a good run. But yeah, looking forward to next week.
Get more frequent.
What's that?
These 3-hour conversations are getting more frequent.
When it's a good topic, shit, we just run with it. You know, I'm as long as we don't let it go forever. But you know, today was a good topic, so it's all good. But yeah. We'll see y'all next week. We appreciate you. If you haven't done it already, go to YouTube and subscribe to our page so you can know what's cracking with whatever we got going on from Four Corners Legacy Podcast.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
We appreciate y'all. See you next week.